3 minutos, por favor, me traigan. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Aquí estoy otra vez.
The chambers, or how did that work?
And that's our goal. I think in the past, a lot of businesses, especially in the rural areas and in Pecos, having been part of the San Miguel Las Vegas Chamber, and I really emphasize the San Miguel because in going to the lodger's tax, the San Miguel County lodger's tax meeting, very noticeable to me the functional and operating businesses that are outside of the city limits. And to me, those are as important for bringing in commerce and visitors to the area as we have in the city. So, my vision of inclusion and making a website that has those inclusions, is a tab for Pecos, a tab for San Miguel, a tab for the museum, so that a person that comes into the site has those offerings, and they can go to links and and see what's available, because I think the city has a lot to offer, but I think the components are very much scattered, and there's not like a one place that you can go and gather and see everything that there is. So yes, the answer is yes. It's going to take a while. I'm not going to pretend that Rome was built in a day, starting seed money for this, and in collaboration with other entities that we're getting together with, is to build that platform so that we can have, in a year, triple and double what we've had. So,
The reason I asked you, because pretty much Las Vegas is San Miguel County, pretty much a seat, no?
Yeah.
And then we have Pecos.
Yes.
That also needs to be included if the commission decides to
Sure.
proceed with funding.
Yeah.
And how much, and then we'd have to have some kind of request
Sure.
indicating as to more or less what the monies are going to be used for
You bet.
in the county.
Yes.
Of course, the commissioners would be probably more interested in what's going to be done for the county besides the city limits. No?
Yes.
That's what I would think.
Yeah. And I put a presentation, it's in there, that kind of illustrates a little bit of the inclusion of the Pecos and the rural San Miguel County businesses, because I don't think it's just Las Vegas and Pecos. There's outside of Pecos, there's a lot of businesses that cater to the fishing and mountain and those kind of industries that are remiss in capturing those businesses in a place that's inclusive, one stop. They have to go over there, or they have to go and find it and do that. So, my vision is, we want to become the holistic gathering of all those things. So, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. So in Pecos, you're aware that there's a business association, and I'm sure Las Vegas also has one?
Yes.
Does the chamber currently work with these business organizations, or that's your vision?
That is, and like I said, and I haven't had the opportunity yet to get to Pecos and go to the business, but I have touched base and gone to some of the meetings of some of the more local business things like Las Vegas First and the Main Street, working with Cindy Collins and doing a grant together where they will utilize our website to do a lot of the promotions of what they want to do. So the answer is yes. I haven't accomplished, all of that because I feel this is just the starting place to build. But I do envision that in time, and once people know about us, that they'll want to be part of it.
And does Lodgers Tax fund this type of action and this type of activity? Have you gone to them for this?
We did it in collaboration with Main Street, and that was more for the promotion of a special event that will be occurring with the opening of the eventual Castaneda. But we want to prepare for that so that we have the platform for that advertising and getting that out there. So we're ahead of the schedule right now, but what we really want to do is get a professional person to build that website. And that's where I'm using different entities in collaboration to do that. But I think that without a new website where we can do that, it's like buying new tires in an old car, if it's rusted, you're not gonna, even though you have new tires, you're not gonna get rid of it. So yes, the idea is to bring in all those entities together, and whoever wants to join, my vision is, where in the past it was more encapsulated, that, I want to be openly inclusive to all the organizations that want to help promote those activities and those businesses.
Thank you, Mr. Luna. Appreciate you coming in. Next on the agenda, we start with the regular order of business. Under regular order, resolution recognizing the Pecos Panthers basketball, cheerleading, and cross-country state championship for the 2017-2018 school year. Commissioner Varela?
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and Ebony, our secretary, for catching that error. We already took action as far as reading the resolutions and recognizing the Pecos Panther champions at the May meeting, but we just didn't bother to approve the resolution. We were too busy celebrating and looking at the cake and working with the mayor. So anyway, I do see some people from Pecos here. Thanks for coming. So that's what this is about. We celebrated our victories. We had champions at the boys basketball, the cheer team, cross country, and help me out, who was the other?
It's on there.
The champion, is it on here? Okay.
Cross country.
Cross country.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and not track, cross country. So anyway, do we have the resolution numbers? I don't need to read them. I'm sure we read them already.
Yeah,
So
here.
what did I do to speed this up?
I can get into my document.
I can move to approve.
Okay, that
Okay, good. All right. Motion to approve the resolutions by Commissioner Olivari, second. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Varela. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, resolution number 2018-08-05, poverty. Commissioner Olivari.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a resolution number 2018-08-05, poverty. It's a resolution making a commitment to draft, finalize, pass, and implement the poverty eradication strategic plan. Whereas child poverty rates for children under 5 in San Miguel County 2011 to 15 was 56.3%, 45.9% in Mora County, and 25.3% in Guadalupe County, according to the New Mexico Department of Health. And whereas it is recognized that along with high poverty rates come lower education levels and mental health issues. And whereas San Miguel County had a Tri-County Poverty Summit on March 29, 2018, in collaboration with Mora County and Guadalupe County, And whereas community members, community leaders, government agencies, nonprofit agencies, and the business community and educational leaders, law enforcement, elected officials, and behavioral health sectors were in attendance. And whereas a consensus was reached that a commitment to collaboration was paramount. And whereas the strategic plan shall be community-driven. And whereas we understand that budgets are moral documents that govern our priorities. And whereas San Miguel County will lead the Poverty Summit scheduled for July 21st. Mr. Manager, the date's been changed. 2018, and every quarter through until a total implementation of poverty eradication strategic plan is finalized and adopted. And whereas the poverty eradication strategic plan requires the commitment from all governmental agencies involved in the Poverty Summit. And whereas the approval by the Board of County Commissioners of San Miguel, this resolution will be shared with all of the government agencies involved in the Poverty Summit to endorse, support, and commit the successful completion and implementation of the Poverty Eradication Strategic Plan. And whereas the Board of County Commissioners endorses the goals of the Poverty Eradication Strategic Plan and recognizes the need and importance of such a plan for the successful growth of its community and overall physical, mental health of its citizens. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of San Miguel County Commission honor this resolution in perpetuity to raise the quality of life for those living in poverty throughout the Tri-County area. I'll stand for any questions.
Motion to approve resolution 2018-08-05.
So moved.
by Commissioner Wadi.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wadi. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3, Pecos fireworks display. Information San Miguel County Sheriff's Office inspection not from the 2018 Village of Pecos fireworks display. Consuelo Managón Peña.
Good afternoon, County Commissioners. Thank you guys for having us today and being able to present to you guys. Real quick, I'd like to take an opportunity just to introduce some of our members that came to help and support with this. We have Richard Varela as a member. We end up having Kevin Quintana as president. We have Manuel Peña as commander. And we have Naomi Quintana as our secretary and also Tony Quintana as one of our members. I put a little packet together in front of you guys just to kind of explain a little bit about what it is that we're here for and what it is that we do and what we represent. But I want to speak a little bit about where we're at as a community there in Pecos. Recently, the San Miguel County Sheriff's Posse has been back in business, like going really strong for about 6 years now. And one of the big things we like to do is give back to our community and our area there, but also to where we end up welcoming anybody and everybody to join us. Some of the big events that we end up holding is the 4th of July event that's going to be coming up again this year, but also to where we'll do things within our community such as the Halloween trunk or treat. So we allow everybody to come to our posse grounds and bring their candy for the kids, and we'll have a carnival, a little haunted house, things like that. And then we also do a Christmas light parade for our community and anybody else that would like to join us. So needless to say, we've been going pretty strong for quite some time now, and we're just wanting to continue to keep that effort going. 2 years ago, we got approached by the village of Pecos to sit there and help with economic development. And so as you know, especially in the rural areas, we deal with a lot of poverty, a lot of the same things that are dealt across our whole entire county. Also dealing with business economic development, just trying to get people to come and visit us and bring in the GRT in order to continue to bring such events like this to our community. So the village of Pecos had presented to us an opportunity to end up being a part of the 4th of July event. So they ended up helping to support this effort back in 2006. So we did that 4th of July event. We ended up kind of having a little carnival, and we actually had great success to where we ended up having easily 400 spectators that came actually onto the grounds. And also one of the big things, dealing with poverty and stuff like that, we like to give back to the community, so we were able to feed them for free. That's not counting all of the people that ended up participating by being able to watch from their homes along with on the side of the roads, etc. Last year in 2017, we didn't get that much support in regards to this effort from the village of Pecos, but we did end up getting support from other organizations such as the St. Anthony's Church, the National Monument, the Pecos Business Association, and a lot of other organizations within our community. And we were able to still put it on. A big funding portion of this came from the sheriff's posse and the fundraising that we ended up doing to end up making this happen. So one of the reasons why we're here is we want to end up seeing if there's any opportunity for the county commissioners to end up helping to support this event potentially. I know that we deal in the accounting world with anti-donation clauses and stuff like that, and being in the accounting world, I'm well aware of those type of things as well. The Village of Pecos and several other organizations have decided to commit to help towards this effort. On average, this event costs us about $6,200. We put on a $4,000 fireworks show, and we end up getting quite a big success with that. So last year, we ended up easily having 600 in attendance, along with everybody else that ends up helping to line up the streets and also being able to watch from their homes. As we all are aware that we're in this huge drought and we're in this situation, and that's one of the reasons why we're presenting it to you guys and also for our community of the more importance of why we want to keep it centrally based. You know, no matter what human nature is going to be, even despite the fact that we're in a drought, they're going to end up wanting to light those fireworks, etc. And I know that we end up having a ban currently within San Miguel County. This event will be held on the San Miguel County Sheriff's grounds. We've held it there for the last 2 years. We've ended up getting quite a bit of support from many different organizations. So we have the National Monument, which corners us. They end up opening up their land in order to ensure that we have additional parking. We've ended up getting buy-in right now currently from the Village of Pecos, where they're going to be contributing $500 towards the event, but they're also going to provide in-kind support. So with that, what that means is the fire department will go ahead and be on standby and there for the event. They'll be spraying down the grounds and all of that. We've also reached out to the rest of the fire departments, the volunteer fire departments that exist near us. So we have the Rowe Fire Department, the Glorieta Fire Department, also the Pecos Canyon Fire Department. And all of them are committed in regards to providing in-kind efforts in order to end up securing that this will be a safe event and also to eliminate potential fire danger. We've been working with some of the local businesses as well, and you know, recently we had a fishing derby that was a huge success just a couple weekends ago, so last weekend actually, and the weekend before, I'm sorry, June 2nd, and that was a huge success as well. And you know, we're just continuing to work together as a community to end up bringing events like this to help support our community along with surrounding areas. So we welcome everybody and anybody to attend these events. In previous years, the Pecos posse has picked up, like last year, picked up the majority of the cost. This year, again, we are wanting to do our contribution, and what we're wanting to do is we'll go ahead and pick up the insurance on this as well. You know, more than anything, we're wanting to see if there's any help or support that we can get from you guys for the number of reasons that I mentioned, you know, just to continue to be able to give back to the community, knowing the poverty that we're in. Also just to continue to build economic development within our organization and throughout our communities, and then also just to end up providing a safe place for people to come and enjoy the 4th of July, because as we know right now, it's looking like there's not much that many people can do for the 4th of July. So at this time, if you guys have any questions, I would welcome them.
Any comments from the commission?
I have some questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much for coming to present to us and for doing all you do for our community. It's really important for all of us, you know, to have these things, the parade, the Christmas event for the kids, to see Santa Claus. All these things are something that I personally look forward to, bring my family to, and bringing the community together. And for all the reasons that you stated, I do have a couple of questions. And I think the posse grounds, is it located in the Village of Pecos? Is that correct?
It is located in the village.
Okay, so right now, you know, and we'll be having a presentation updating our fireworks ban in the unincorporated areas in the county. So Pecos is incorporated. Do they have rules, or does Pecos fall under a state rule regarding fireworks, and how does that affect this event?
No, as I've looked into it and as I've spoken with the mayor and also the board of trustees there within Pecos, there is nothing that will limit us from having a fireworks show. It is left at the discretion of the village. And so right now they are in support of it completely. They want to see it happen. You know, it's just a lot of work upon our membership. You know, we're about 20 people strong, and all of us have been dedicated for quite some years. But, you know, we can only do so much as a membership. And, you know, even to the extent that this year, we want to provide this event, but also to make it reasonably monetary donation or something like that in regards to the people that do attend, because I know the community appreciates that, and I really believe that we'll get a good turn back in regards to that. There's so many people and organizations, businesses within our community that donate because they want to see this stuff continue on, and it takes a lot, and right now, you know, I can proudly say that the Sheriff's Posse is leading the pack in regards to what's going on in Pecos.
That's right, I do, and I think that's recognized by a lot of people. I certainly do, and I appreciate it. And I do have a question for our legal counsel as far as, and of course, my fellow commissioners, I'd ask that we can contribute. I don't know how much. We just had our budget meeting this couple weeks ago, and there's not a whole lot of discretionary money. I would like for us to support this. I don't know how we're going to figure out that amount, but I do have a question for council of how this can be done without violating the anti-donation clause, since the Sheriff's Posse is, are you a nonprofit?
We are a nonprofit, and the way that we're kind of viewing it is it's more of a community, you know, county safety precaution. You know, I really believe that we'll get a lot more people turning out to this event rather than the potential of, you know, residents lighting fireworks and causing additional fires, potential fires.
Mr. Chairman, one question before we go that way, because I know we're gonna get an answer from council. The only question I have is this gonna be a budget budget for every year, or is this just a one-time shot? Because
you know, for the most part, we've been really talking a lot with the Village of Pecos, along with the Pecos Business Association, as well as Robert Apodaca, which is one of the contractors there that helps within the Pecos Village to end up looking at ways to get funding. And I know that a lot of us are competing for funding. We're going around asking for the same donations, things like that. And so this year, what we've been working really hard on is to work as a team and say, what are our big things we're wanting to accomplish within the village and for Pecos? So like the usual, you know, the fishing derby is one of them. We do the cleanup of the river throughout Pecos. Also, the Halloween trunk or treat, the Christmas light parade, those different events that we want to keep for the community, but for us to come together as an entire unit and start looking at how do we go out for lodgers taxes and stuff like that together and start budgeting it in that manner.
So just say this is just a one-time?
Yes, we're planning on this to be a one-time thing. You know, any support that we can ever get, we'll always end up welcoming it. But one of the big things is for us to start uniting in order to go after any type of funding together, going out for grants, things like that.
Thank you.
Counselor? Oh, no time yet.
Mr. Chairman, I think I met with you last year on the insurance, and I noticed under the documentation you have $1,910 for insurance. Is that reasonable? Are we still working to try to get the insurance? I think I was working with you.
Yes, last year we did get a chance to talk, so it's nice to meet you. Yeah, one of the big things is when we first got presented with the village, they thought that they would be insured by this. Of course, you know, the state's smart. The only thing that they don't insure is going to be fireworks throughout any municipality or any village or anything like that. So they weren't able to carry it. The first year in 2016, it costed us $610, and last year it costed us $1,900. So we have spoken with our insurance agent, and they have ended up ensuring that it's going to be right around the same amount.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the expenditure can be approved. What I'd like to see is, one, it's eligible through our lodger's tax, and we do have some funding left there, but it's also eligible if we can work it with the village of Pecos and the Pecos Sheriff's Posse.
Okay, great. Yes, as mentioned, you know, the village of Pecos is very much in support of this. We have gone to them. They ended up making the recommendation for us to come before you guys. But like I said, they're giving us the remaining of what they had in their bucket as well, which was currently $500.
So how much are you asking for?
You know what, the event costs us around $6,200, 4,000 being in the fireworks is what we've done, 2,000 being for insurance. We end up buying a few supplies in regards to like decorating and things like that. You know, we'll buy like glow sticks and stuff like that for the children since it gets dark and stuff like that. But you know, right now, what are we short? Right now, we end up having about $1,200. So that gives you an idea. What we do is we're willing to put up some of the money from the sheriff's posse, but again, like I said, it's coming from us. It's hard for our organization, being as small as it is, and as hard as we work to raise our money to continue to do like the events of the Christmas light parade, Halloween, etc. So that kind of gives you a general idea. In short, like about $5,800, but whatever's we don't get picked up, we'll be pulling out of our coffer.
All right, that being discussed, I need a motion from the commission regarding the funding for this project.
I so move, Mr. Chair, for approval of the budget. I think they were requesting 35. I think we should fund them what they need, no, if we're gonna fund them. Is it, how much did you
The
need?
full amount that we need is $5,800, but we wanted to bring something to the table as well from the sheriff's posse. So like I know that you guys are at your end as well, and you know, if there's extra money available or whatever you guys can give, we appreciate it. The full amount that's short currently is $5,800, but like I said, we don't want to not put any, you know,
Well, if that's
skin in the
what you need,
game.
I think that's what we should approve. So that you can have your,
Their request, there says they currently have a shortfall of approximately 3,500.
And it was because of the fact that we're putting in our skin into the game as well from the posse.
3,500 would be the shortfall.
oh, I see. So
Yeah.
that's what they need.
That's what you need to, then
Oh, I
they'll match the other part.
Oh, okay.
So we would have to fund the whole 1,000 to 3,500, is that right? That would help you?
Yeah, that would be appreciated. If you guys can do more, that's greatly appreciated.
So just to make sure, check with our budget director, so that's within our means?
Chairman, yes, it is, and I kind of want clarification too as to what fiscal year you're expecting the funding from. If we were to award this, would it be out of this year's budget or next year's budget, just to make sure?
You guys end up June 30th, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So, I'm being an accountant, I have my degree as well, so I know how it ends up working, and of course, we want to see that money go out the door, because we're not going to get it back. So I leave that at your discretion. I mean, you and knowing if you have, you know, 3,500 or more to end up giving in order for it not to revert, you know, we'll end up taking it, and if not, then, you know, if it has to be out of FY19, I'm sure that we can find the ability to float the money until we get reimbursed.
And the reason I ask that is currently in our fiscal year 17-18 budget, we don't have enough money in lodger's tax budgeted that we've gone to DFA asking them for money. We have the cash there, but we don't have it budgeted. We do have monies budgeted in the general fund though, that haven't been used for other purposes that we could line item transfer into a particular line item in order to pay for this, and or we could pay for it out of the fiscal year 18-19 budget. That's why I just wanted to know how soon they would need the money, but we could find the money.
So, I believe the motion
I'll make that
made by
motion.
Commissioner Padilla was to fund this amount, to fund this project, Petco 12 fireworks display in the amount of 3,500, is that
Yes,
correct?
in a one-time shot.
One-time basis?
This year.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Padilla, seconded by Commissioner Leverie, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you guys very much, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Come out and join us, I'd love to see you guys.
Bye-bye.
See you. Make sure you have jalapenos or chili for my dog.
Item number 4, opioid psychoeducational prevention program. This is Dr. Dolores P. Ortega.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Buenas tardes, community members. My name is Dolores Ortega. I hold a Master's in Social Work and a PhD in Education. Thank you for the opportunity to present my proposal, Opioid Psychoeducational Prevention Program, otherwise known as OPEP, San Miguel County. San Miguel County, the opioid crisis has brought a destructive reality of global, urban, and rural communities. The crisis continues to impact Las Vegas and its surrounding rural communities with such a force, leaving individuals, children, and their families shattered. Today I am here to present to you a proposal on working to address the opioid crisis and its effects on our families in San Miguel County. My colleague and co-facilitator, Jackie Archon, unfortunately could not join me today. However, she is a licensed master level social worker. She holds an LSAA, Licensed Substance Abuse Associate certification, and also her LADAC, Licensed Alcohol and Drug Counseling certification is pending. Here are the facts. On a daily basis, our gente of all ages are dying due to addictions. Although not every person, we know that not every person dies. However, the use or prolonged use of opioids has a devastating effects, which includes increased need for mental health services, physical health services, life-ending diseases, homelessness, and long-term habitual incarceration. The OPAP program focuses on how opioid use and abuse impacts the individuals, families, and communities. There is an increased risk for children and youth in starting to explore the use of drugs. We know this due to a family member or several family members who have an addiction to opioids, alcohol, or other drugs. One of our program's goals is to increase awareness by developing best practices curricula on opioid and substance abuse awareness, prevention, and resiliency. The curriculum will feature psychoeducational courses aimed at educating parents, siblings, teachers of all 4 levels of education, and persons who have been released from incarceration about the opioids they are consuming. These educational sessions will engage the participants in understanding signs, symptomatology, and diagnosis. Participants will be provided with an educational learning setting where they will learn to dialogue, increase communication within familias. All the while, communities will foster resiliency and act as protective factors for children and youth. Statistics of an epidemic. As we are all too aware, there is a national opioid epidemic, and that initiatives for awareness and preventing at all levels of government and its agencies are being developed and implemented. Drug overdose deaths and opioid-involved deaths continue to increase in the United States. We know this. Deaths from drug overdose are up among both men and women, all races and adults of every age. More than 3 out of 5 drug overdose deaths involve an opioid. Opioids are substances that work on the nervous system in the body or specific receptors in the brain to reduce the intensity of the pain. Overdose deaths from opioids, including prescription opioids and heroin, have increased by more than 5 times since 1999. Overdoses involving opioids killed more than, and this is staggering, 42,000 people in 2016. 40% of those deaths were from prescription opioids. The misuse of opioids, including prescription drugs and heroin, is one of the most serious public health problems we are facing today throughout the United States. Opioid misuse claims more lives than motor vehicle accidents. This we know. Dramatic increase in both maternal opioid use and neonatal abstinence syndrome, otherwise known as NAS, every 25 minutes. This is horrific. Every 25 minutes, a baby is born suffering from opioid withdrawal. There was a 5-fold increase in the proportion of babies born with NAS from 2000 to 2012. Closer to home, New Mexico and San Miguel, all of the 10 leading causes of death in New Mexico are or at least partially attributed to the use of alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs. In 2015, the 10 leading causes of death in New Mexico were malignant neoplasms, diseases of the heart, unintentional injuries, chronic lower respiratory diseases, diabetes, chronic liver disease, cirrhosis, suicide, Alzheimer's disease, and influenza and pneumonia. The New Mexico rate for lifetime heroin use has been consistently higher than the U.S. rate. This remained true in 2015 with a rate of 3.5% for New Mexico and 2.1% for the U.S. In 2015, the highest rates for lifetime heroin use were in Mora, 9.3%, Roosevelt, 6.8%, Luna, 6.1%, and Hidalgo, 5.7%. And the lowest in the Union, 0.7% in Erie, 0.9%, and Los Alamos, 0.9%. These are those counties. New Mexico opioid overdose deaths per 100,000, 2016. New Mexico metro areas, 26.7. New Mexico non-metro, rural, 24.4. San Miguel County, 30.0. Challenges facing rural communities. Rural communities across the nation, and specifically San Miguel County, experiencing new challenges in regards to engaging with and navigating, it's a really big problem, available resources for education, prevention, and treatment of substance abuse. As with all communities in the U.S., rural communities have seen dramatic increases in rates of opioid abuse and overdose, while lacking the services in other facilities that are often more available in urban and suburban areas. Program proposal. OPEP goals. A, educate communities on scope of the problem and effects of addiction on families. B, identify addiction factors such as signs and symptoms. C, lead community members to available interventions and treatment. Here are the intentions. As identified by the goals above, the intention of this program is to increase awareness of the problem, promote opportunities for prevention, and make known available support and treatment options. It is the intention of OPEP to come alongside the community mental health organizations who are providing the counseling and the treatment, engage communities in dialogue and rich discussions. We call that pláticas, to bring in pláticas, meaningful pláticas. Educated the leaders, connect with educated leaders in community, heads of households, grandparents, our elders, siblings, to go back to the families and continue the dialogue. Establish partnerships with the schools and provide education for the teachers who are working directly with our youth and children. Provide resources to participants, provision of educational materials, and listing of available resources for intervention and treatment. Program overview. OPEP will develop a bilingual and bicultural opioid and polysubstance crisis curriculum. Educational forums to be offered 2 times per month. First week of the month, schools. Third week of the month, rural communities, centers. We want to advertise in local papers for parents, community members, and its leaders. Educational forums to begin Monday, August 27, with an end date of April 2019. Identify and engage community and educational leaders in both the rural communities and with the school system. Quarterly reports provided to the board, reports to be supported by participant evaluations. I humbly ask for your consideration. We would like to ask for this grassroots program, $25,000 to cover the following: services, professional educators, development and provision of resource materials, expenses, travel to rural areas and surrounding community. We want to be present and in solidarity with the families that live with this crisis every single day. Announcements, advertisements in local community papers, also producing community flyers. Duplication of educational and support materials for participants. The facility, Amistad y Resolana Substance Abuse Clinic, which is a licensed facility, has generously offered to provide their facility in which to hold educational forums and in-kind donations such as food. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, so I want to thank you for your passion about this issue, and that's, I don't have a lot of questions. I just wanted to thank you for your passion, your concern about this community. You're obviously very, very involved, and it's certainly something that we have to address in so many different manners. But I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you.
Chair. Dr. Ortega, I'd like to thank you for bringing this issue up in front of the board today and addressing the issue that faces many of our people in our comunidad, some of our family members, some of our friends. And it is my recommendation that we fund this program. I make a motion to fund the program. To fund it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to see if council could verify if that's a legal expenditure.
I had that question to the counselor. Any problem regarding the integrity?
The concern is the same concern I had earlier about the anti-donation clause, and the approach that I understood that we would probably take is that you, as a commission, could go ahead and vote on the issue conditioned upon legal review. Some of the questions I have would be exactly what is the money going to be spent on? What is the status of your organization? Are you 501c3 or an official nonprofit? Nobody argues with the need for what is being offered in the project. My goal is to ensure the manager and the board that as far as what the law requires, that we are able to do it. And one approach is you can vote whatever way you want for whatever amount. Maybe we can make it conditional upon the attorney making sure, gathering more information, working with other staff to make sure that it doesn't violate the law. Right now, what we have is a fairly detailed explanation of the goals, but finance department, myself, and others are going to need to know when, where, how, exactly how much for salaries, how much for equipment, those type of things.
I could provide that.
And that's how well we can work.
Is that my question to Gonzalez, is that in there, budgetary constraints?
Chairman Nahar and Commissioners, it is within the fiscal year 18-19 budget. We set aside $50,000 for the commission to use for various items, so that would fall within that dollar amount.
The motion that was made by Commissioner Martinez to go ahead and approve it.
I'll second that motion with the amendment that Mr. Romero just explained to us, pending the litigation or the legality of the program itself and the expenditures. With that, I would second the motion.
All right, motion has been made, seconded by Commissioner Padilla that we approve this amount based on legal restraint,
Legal consideration.
legal review of the amount. Is that the motion?
And the expenditures.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Muchísimas gracias.
Next item on the agenda is, item number 5. Villanueva Library to remain open, required Villanueva Library, presented by Patricia Gallego.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good afternoon. I have with me Rebecca Salazar. She'll be helping me with the presentation today. She's our librarian at the Villanueva Library. We also have some people in the audience I'd like to acknowledge just as standing up in support of the Villanueva Library, if you would. Stand. Thank you. Also, we have Aggie Ortega, who is our board president for the El Valle Community Center. My name is Patricia Gallegos. I live in Rivera. My father was born and raised in Villanueva, New Mexico. My mother from Cerrito, New Mexico. My grandmother was Placida Villanueva Gallegos. So we have a long history of people from the valley. So up and down the street, you're related to one side or the other, as you all know. You've all been there. And I wanted to make mention the anti-donation clause won't be an issue either. We've received grants from other funders, but we'll look forward to visiting with you about that in the future. So with that, I wanted to make sure to let you know that our Villanueva Community Center, it's El Valle Community Center, is where the library is located. And so with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Rebecca and she'll talk about that.
Thank you, Patricia. My name is Rebecca Salazar. I am the director of David F. Cargo Library in Villanueva. As you know, as mentioned, the David F. Cargo Library is located within the building of the El Valle Community Center in Villanueva and has been since the mid-1990s. The library's mission has always been and is to be a reliable library consisting of vast resources for the patrons in its computer lab. We want to preserve and sustain and see our precious commodity succeed and flourish, and that's the younger generation. They'll be taking over us after we're gone. We want to provide existential resources to all generations with opportunity to improve their quality of life. The population of Villanueva is approximately 230, and with the surrounding villages, we can serve up to 2,700 people. According to the public school review, at the Valley School from kindergarten to about 8th grade is 160 students, and even more so with college-age students, homeschooling, and high school that we could serve. The first year we filed with the State of New Mexico Library to become a state library was in July 2016. It was announced by the State of New Mexico Library in March 2017 that the David F. Cargo Library in Villanueva is a developing library. We'll have this status as a developing library, having met state requirements for about 5 years. In 5 years, we will be an official state library. This year, we received our first state grant aid of $3,000. And that was to pay for a part-time library director, a salary for 4 months, and that is up until June 30th of this year. We are therefore requesting support from San Miguel County for the Villanueva Library in the 2019 fiscal year with a commitment of $37,500. This amount will enable the library to continue its efforts in building, cataloging, housing the collection, providing online patron services, offering after-school work services, summer reading programs, setting up public access computer lab, expanding opportunities for online research, setting up skills and training and wireless access. Every year, we have about 3,000 to 5,000 visitors in our Villanueva and Valle area, and we could serve those as well. In addition, the library is planning to expand its children's collection to develop an early literacy program, to launch an after-school work services program to help students with their homework, not to re-instruct, but to help them with their homework, and to provide them resources to complete that. With the county support, they will allow us these projects to move forward as the library continues to pursue funding opportunities for the coming year. The packet that we have previously sent to you, if you want to look on page 3, is the table, and that is the projected budget. On the far right-hand column, the $25,000 is for the library salaries. The second row is the $2,500, which is the match for rent. We received 10 pieces of computer equipment. That's 5 desktops and 5 laptops from the computer charity in Santa Fe. Also, the next line item is the $5,000, which is for the library database, the antivirus and installation of Microsoft Office that we would like to have on all of our computers in our computer lab. And the remaining $5,000 is for renovation. The Elvira Community Center, and which houses the library, as you know, the library is consists of 2 rooms, and they're both less than 1,100 square feet. We have the main library with the reference section, Southwest collection, and books of all topics. The other library is the Children's Corner Library. We want to install energy efficient windows. We want to replace the outdated and the old wall heaters as well. In addition to the funding amounts mentioned in the table, the Villanueva Library is one of the 25 rural libraries participating in the Rural Library Initiative. The Rural Library Initiative group is making a request to the New Mexico legislature for the establishment of a statewide endowment fund that would provide rural libraries with the $50,000 annual disbursement. If passed during the 2019 legislative session, the endowment could provide the Villanueva Library with a stable, sustainable source of revenue that would cover the full cost of staff, salary, and benefits. However, we do not have the funding from July 1st to December 31st, 2018. We hope the resources we provide will increase and promote self-growth with a better quality of life and assist in overturning the poverty level of this area. We will also continue to increase programs availability to enhance residents in their education and employment endeavors. I want to thank each and every one of you. I probably have a few more minutes, and I would like to take, a little bit more time to actually discuss the projects that we're working on. We have a donation. We will have a donation from the Farmington Library. They had a space of 100,000 square feet, and they're willing to give us bookshelves. So we're working on a program, a plan with quotes to see what's the best way to get that equipment down here. We have they're going to be offering also furniture and miscellaneous items as well. We have the back to school bash, which will be on August 4th. It's basically giving school supplies to students for free. We have collaborated with the Las Vegas Police Department. We want them to come down and give a speech to the kids about active shooter situation. No town in America is immune from the events that are taking place these days. And they immediately agreed to come down and provide a lecture for the students about active shooter situations. We're constantly building bridges since I've started this part-time job in March. It's with the Culture Center, it's with other libraries, and it's just overwhelming, constant projects all the time, but I love it. But thank you for your time, and thank you for having us and considering our request.
Any comments or questions from the commission?
Okay, I have some questions and comments. Thank you so much for bringing this to us, and I know that the library is very important to the community. I understand, I think in talking with Alicia, that is the only location that has the high-speed internet, fiber optics, and the community comes to use it. It's not just the students. It's open to everybody.
Yes, thank you. We're the only ones that have fiber optic hooked up at the community center at this time, because we worked with Plateau so that they could put the line in sooner than later. And so we have that. The cost on a monthly basis is quite high. We're paying that $80 a month. So yes, community members can come, use the internet system as is now.
Yeah, and in touring the place and visiting over the years, I know it's used for a lot of different purposes. And the library section, is that in the middle? I'm trying to orient myself in the building of where the library is located.
And that's to the left. So you come in, there's the main building, and it's a welcome area. Then as you walk in, it's the children's library to the left.
Yeah.
Then it's the bigger library to the left, and to the right is the resource room that carries the computers that is considered our lab, our computer lab. And we do have our GD program housed out of that building, in that office.
And did you get the roof fixed recently? I remember visiting and the roof was a mess.
Yes, so thank you for asking about that too. We worked very closely with the DWI Council, and they gave us, there were some young men that needed to do some work, and they were skilled, and so they did fix the roof and also repaired some other areas on the side for us. And it was free because they had to do their hours.
That's fantastic. And you had materials?
We gave them the material. They donated some material as well. The gentleman we had happened to have a nice little business.
That's impressive. I've seen the evolution of that community center and the community using it for so many purposes, and I've been to so many things there, I can't remember one. I've been there, I'm always there.
Janice, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support for the community center. We're on our 20th year of our Easter egg hunt. So we've been around for a long time, and people say, oh, there's no more kids in the valley. Come to our Easter egg hunt.
And it's
You
not
see
just
the
Villanueva,
cameras.
like you mentioned, the numbers. Villanueva is a little tiny village, but the valley is extended, and it's important to the entire valley. We don't have a community center at Pecos, and we're working towards that, so I'm really happy to see it in our little gem of Villanueva and our beautiful valley, and I truly support you, and I'll defer to the other commissioners now for questions.
Comment, question?
Commissioner Ahad, on the projected, first year projected budget, you show that your budgeted amount for library salaries is $43,000. Is that just for one individual, or how many individuals will that salary be for?
Well, a librarian with a master's degree in library science in New Mexico, their average salary is $53,000 to $58,000. What I was going to say was, for the state of New Mexico, they have library certification 2 and library certification 1, depending on the population of the area that the library is serving. We fall under library certification 1, which is not to have a master's degree in library science, but an X amount of hours of library science courses. and a bachelor's degree. I have 3 degrees, and I plan on going back to school next year, January. But in answer to your question, like I was saying, the average salary is $58,000. And for the rural area and the economy, we're merely asking for that.
So that would just be for one individual, correct?
Yes, but ideally, in the future, I do want to see 3 full-time or part-time in the summer employees, like the summer youth program.
And the library will be open, it'll be open from what hours for individuals to access?
Well, right now, with the funding, we're open part-time Monday through Wednesday, 1 to 6 in the afternoon. We plan on changing the schedule from July on to the latter end of the week from Wednesday to Saturday, at least 1 to 6. The requirement for the state of New Mexico NMAC statute is that we're required to, as a developing library, to be open 15 hours a week, so that more than covers it.
And in the Villanueva area, those rural areas, is there a bookmobile in that area? That goes out to that area?
Yes, they do. They have a bookmobile. They have 3 or 4 bands in the whole state, and I believe it's down to 2. And I'm not exactly sure what their schedules are, but I know it's coming out of the Sumolon area.
Okay, one final question that I have. So if I have a student that goes to, and I work for the schools, if I have a student that goes to the library that needs to do a research project and they have to put citations, is there somebody there credentialed to help this individual write it APA style and cite the resources that they've used? Is there going to be somebody that's credentialed to do that for the students?
It's amazing the backgrounds of the volunteers that we have in the El Valle area. We have retired microbiologists, we have retired finance and accounting, well, not retired, but I did have a background of finance and accounting. We have retired architects and background of other different types of business management. So the volunteers that we have to help and assist launch the after-school work services program will have to have some type of orientation to go through to make sure that they meet the basic standards of learning.
And your profit is non-profit?
It's a 501c3, yes. And we have received funds in the past, and so, a couple of years ago, we got the Cheese Spot Award from one of the foundations, because they know we're a very rural community center, so they gave it to us, and it was $7,000 about 3 years ago. So we've kind of been living off of that $7,000 for a while. But they acknowledged us. Excuse me? Yeah, no, and then 2 years ago, we got a Konama Foundation grant, and that grant gave us money specifically for technical assistance to the board. So we have had training to the board of how to be a good board, basically, and we've done a strategic plan, we're doing a financial management and putting policies and procedures in there with that grant money. We have a volunteer program called Impact that we're purchasing that'll record all of the wonderful volunteer work that we do, it'll help us document the hours and the time, and will be very good for grant money as well. So we're in a position to receive grants, but it's been pretty bare bones so far. But the library will hopeful to kick us out.
There's been some concerns with public money, non-profit public money being used for salary. Counselor, can you address that?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I do have concerns as before as to the exact expenditure of the monies. I see your list. You have salaries budgeted at $43,000, match for grant $5,000, equipment, computer labs $13,000, infrastructure facilities $10,000. So on one hand, we need to look into, I understand, are you in the old Rivera West Las Vegas school building?
We are housed specifically in Villanueva, behind the post office.
And the landlord is, who owns the building?
We own the building. In 1992-5, we went before the school board for West Las Vegas, and because it was an abandoned school at that point. We did some research, and that was the route to go. So we have a deed.
So these type of questions, we'll have to sit down and talk about exactly where the money's going to. There's always a concern about the salaries, or the title to the equipment, or fixing up a building that is not the county's, or giving it to entities that aren't, you're not county employees, you're not an official branch of the county, even though I think there's no better place in the world for a child than in a library with a book. So many memories for myself, and I wish kids nowadays would share the same memories. But the concern is we have to pass legal muster. And just as before with the opioid request, my request is that you as the commission can go ahead and award whatever you think is in their best interest, but in the end, we're going to have to sit down with finance, with staff, with the manager, and go through each one of your expenditures in more detail than you've provided, just to make sure, because there are different categories of expenditures, that each one is legal. And so what I'm really saying is it's a conditional approval if you decide to approve based upon a final legal interpretation.
Thank you for that.
A lot of money today.
Yes. Chairman Nahara and Commissioners, again, during the fiscal year 18-19 budget, we set aside $50,000 that could be used for various items, and with the $25,000 award that was just made in the last item, it would only leave $25,000 for this. For the rest of the fiscal year, unless, of course, you want to re-review the budget and budget any additional funds, but at this time, we don't have anything that's budgeted for, in addition to the $25,000.
And this fiscal year is ending June 30th of 2018?
This fiscal year is ending June 30th, and the $50,000 that I'm speaking of is what was budgeted in the fiscal year 18-19 budget.
Yes.
Oh, that's the project, okay, yes. Okay.
Which could change.
It could change.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, keep in mind that we allocated $200,000 for nonprofits for next fiscal year. And out of the $200,000, $75,000 will be used for our senior citizens for not only feeding them, but for transportation. $30,000 for our homeless, $10,000 for the Healthcare Council, and approximately $35,000 for agriculture program. So that would leave us approximately $50,000 left for next fiscal year. Just like Melinda mentioned, we did approve for Ms. Ortega, but again, we need to look at the legalities and just find out if any of that money could be used for salaries. But that would leave us with zero. Right now, based on my figures, we have roughly $25,000 left for nonprofits.
All right. Any recommendations?
I'll move to approve pending legal consideration and finance and staff recommendations.
I'll second that motion.
For the amount they're asking for $35,000 with legal considerations, and when what could happen from that is, I guess, okay, well, we can only do this much or that much, it doesn't mean it's written in stone.
All right. Recommendation, a motion has been made by Commissioner Uribe. Project. Second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Item number 6, requesting approval of the appointment between San Miguel County Sheriff's Office and the United States Department of the Interior, U.S. Wildlife Service. Sheriff, go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, good afternoon. Maybe I can ask for some light. I'm joking. I'm respectfully requesting an MOU today, which is just basically a formality with the United States Department of Interior, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, National Wildlife Refuge System. This basically is to provide a cooperation use of personnel, equipment for the common purposes of protecting the lives, property, and resources of the public. This MOU is, again, just a formality, just in case something seriously does occur. I'm sure y'all have a copy of the actual MOU. The emergency services that we provided, that are going to be requested by both sides, is going to be for serious injury, fatalities, accident scenes or incidents, crime scenes involving protection of human life or threats to health or safety of the public, or a San Miguel County Sheriff's Office employee. Request for emergency assistance from San Miguel Sheriff's Office officer, employee or the public, and probable cause to assist in felonies committed in the presence of a federal officer. So in a nutshell, it's just basically formality. If they need our assistance, we'll be able to have this MOU in place to go assist them, and vice versa. If we need theirs, they'll come in and give us some assistance. It's a real simple MOU in place. I think in the past, sometimes it wasn't used because it hadn't go to that extreme, but you never know. Something, this year with our severe drought situation, you never know, we might be having to assist each other, and this will be in place so we don't have, and of course the legalities and liabilities that we, San Miguel County is responsible for all their flaws, I guess. That's what hopefully nothing occurs, any wrecks or injuries, and of course the U.S. Wildlife is responsible for their own flaws as well. Any questions, concerns?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, that's the only thing that I read in the MOU was the liability issues, so, but give me an example. Can you give me an example of I mean, isn't that your jurisdiction anyway?
It is, but not the federal.
Not on federal land?
Not on the federal land, no. We've got only within the county. So if the federal wildlife is doing something on the federal lands and they have an extreme fire and they need some assistance, maybe hunting, illegal fishing, things of that nature, they can call us and provide some assistance. Maybe there's an accident up there that really needs law enforcement expertise, and they don't have that because they're in expertise in game and fish and game situation. So we can provide assistance either way. And a lot of times, maybe they just need bodies. They just need bodies to help carry people down from the mountain. So we'll go out there and provide it. But of course, if one of the deputies goes out there and gets hurt, we're responsible for it. But it's just to provide assistance, which I think every law enforcement does with each other anyways. I think this just kind of covers ourselves, saying that if you go out there and help us, it's your responsibility. It's the county's responsibility. But I can't see how we're going to say no when they call for help, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? We need a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the San Miguel County Sheriff's Department and the Department of Interior.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Varela.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Martinez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 7 is accepting the approval of MOU between San Miguel County Sheriff's Department and the Village of Echo. Sheriff Gold.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner, Commissioner. I'm not too sure if Commissioner Varela, you were able to read this, but this particular one is LEPF. The Village of Pecos and in San Miguel County is the city of Las Vegas. They have their own governing bodies, so they have a right to law enforcement and protection fund. This money usually is given the actual deadline, the first initial part is everybody qualifies for $20,000, and then they give you $600, and I think they raised it up to $700. For every certified commissioned law enforcement officer, you get an additional $600. So we all get our amounts. In this particular case, Pecos, Village of Pecos was in a MOU with New Mexico State Police. New Mexico State Police, from what I understand, and I'm not too sure, you have to check the books, but they didn't need the money. Obviously, state police gets funded probably the most than anyone else, so they didn't want to have to be tied down to anything. But whenever the village calls for emergency assistance or law enforcement, state police is there, and so have we been. So in this particular case, we met with DFA Brenda Suazo, who indicated that the money could be used for certain particular things for law enforcement use. Since they have no town marshal, they're not able to utilize the money. So what they recommended that we see if we could utilize it, of course, with that conference call with Mrs. Suazo, they indicated that we could use it for training. That's going to help supplement my budget and the future sheriff's budget for training in the future. So it's $20,000 of training money that we could actually utilize. But first we have to go into an MOU saying that they will provide us training upon request, but they will maintain all fiscal responsibility. They'll go out and do the procurement. I'm just going to basically give them 2 names saying so-and-so needs training in accident investigation. He's going to go to this particular school. They will actually do all the budgeting for it and do the per diem paperwork, and we go in and attend that training. So with that, we're agreeing to provide them law enforcement services upon availability. This is the big thing. Because we are a very small organization, I sometimes do not have the manpower to send somebody up there, so upon availability, we're agreeing that the sheriff will make the decision. If we have somebody available, we will provide assistance or provide law enforcement services as we can. But ultimately, it is the sole responsibility of the village of Pecos to provide their services, but we are going to agree to provide. But as we all know, anytime somebody in Pecos, I don't care, anywhere in the county, if somebody needs a deputy, we are there. So we're there. We're doing it anyway, so we might as well utilize this money to better train our people, and why have to revert that LEPF money back when we can utilize it for additional training? It's just to supplement our training budget that we currently have. So that's the purpose of this MOU, and I stand for questions.
Any questions?
Thank you. I'd like to thank you so much, Sheriff Gold, for responding, and it is noticeable that the sheriff's presence is in the community now, has been absent and requested that you're there, so I do appreciate having the sheriffs in our village, in our community. Rodney's around, some the fish derby, I'm seeing people there around, and thank you so much, and I would like to make a motion to approve this MOU with the Village of Pecos.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Motion made by Commissioner Varela, to approve the MOU between the Village of Pecos and County Public Department, second by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 8, San County Housing Authority, new FY 2018 HPA on the, is my desk.
Chair, Commissioners, my name is Betty Valdez. I'm the Acting Director for San Miguel Housing Authority. I'm here to request approval for FY 2018, or in the middle of the year, I know, but that's how HUD works. For income limits, these income limits are published by HUD, and they are used for our programs at San Miguel Housing Authority, such as Section 8. And this is really just an administrative approval that HUD requires.
Any questions for Mr. Valdez? Need a motion to approve the new FY 2018 HPA income limit.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Padilla.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Varela. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Under item number 9, motion to modify the proclamation to restrict fireworks sales and use. Chief Durante.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
This time I'm asking to modify the proclamation from last month to restrict the sale and use of fireworks. The modifications would be just to include current dates of today's meeting and extend the proclamation for 30 days from the date of approval. Nothing else has changed on the proclamation. This is necessary because the state statute only allows you to do the proclamation for 30 days at a time.
Okay, so this just extends the proclamation for 30 days.
And the 30 days would cover the remainder of the selling period for the fireworks.
Hopefully by then we'll get some rain.
I hope so.
All right, I need a motion to approve the restricted fireworks sale and use proclamation.
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Padilla, second. Second. Second by Commissioner Martinez, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10, multi-jurisdictional mass casualty incident plan.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question on the previous situation? Just real quick, I met with our attorney on that situation regarding the actual proclamation. But as we know, Chief has asked us to enforce the law enforcement portion of it. It falls under 3017.
there's two means of enforcement. This one is the one state statute. We also have enforcement for the open burn, which is under section 30-17, that's one, which the sheriff's office they discussed that.
So ultimately, we're going to enforce 30-17-1, and basically, under there it says missile tiles and anything that goes over a certain distance, a height, that they can't use over the extreme conditions that the fire chief is bringing forward. But I just want to confirm with legal, just want to confirm with you guys that controlled environments such as the city of Las Vegas, which is the governing body, and the village of Pecos, as they indicated early, they can have their fire displays as long as they're under, what's the word I'm looking for? Protected? Controlled? Yeah, local government, they have their fire departments and they're ready to go. So those displays are okay. And I'm sure that the community is going to probably ask, in case they ask any one of you guys, that we will be out there enforcing these petty misdemeanor citations to people that are having little fire displays and they're violating our proclamation or the violation of state statute. We will be out there enforcing it because of the extreme conditions. But in case they come up to you, as you know your constituents will do, the controlled environment is okay to be done at the city of Las Vegas, and I believe that's at the golf course or Story Lake, wherever that's at. And obviously Pecos is going to be done at the sheriff's posse. So just in case you all come up with that situation, I didn't know when was an appropriate time to ask when Pecos was up here talking about it, or if it was through the chief situation. So I just wanted to let you know in case you all received that information.
That statute is a petty misdemeanor?
It's a petty misdemeanor. It's a non-traffic citation. We've spoke with the magistrate judges, and we can issue a citation. There's up to H, A, B, C, D, sections H, and of course, it's if somebody is being careless and the fire gets away from it and it causes damage, we can actually go in and issue them a citation. Obviously, if it gets extreme and we have a $30,000 land burning, obviously it probably becomes a felony. So, but just for future reference, those are controlled. Everything else is non-controlled in our extreme situation that the chief brought before you all. Just wanted to bring that to light.
All right. Thank you. I have a question. Thank you so much, maybe for Mr. Duran and maybe yourself. Former Commissioner Huey Lay has some questions and we're communicating by email. Did this answer his question about the enforcement piece of it, or did he want something more that we can't do?
I believe it was answered. I believe Sheriff Gold did speak to him. It seemed like he wanted for fire members to become, for you to give them the authority to issue citations.
Oh, like the fire department would be kind of like, what do you call those, sheriffs, deputized sheriffs or something? Oh, that can't happen? Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure of his exact question, and I know he was wanting some enforcement and some teeth in there, and beyond that, so he was already, that his concerns were addressed, and that can't happen there. That's what he was wanting.
Correct. And then there is teeth in both the fireworks and the open burn policy. The open burn policy, we did find out both state statutes that individuals can be cited for land as well.
And they can be cited by either law enforcement or, which in our case, we have a lot of Forest Service and even Park Service officials, and they're law enforcement, so they could issue citations for fireworks or campfires that are illegal.
Any law enforcement.
Okay. Thank you so much.
The laws that we're talking about are enforceable only by magistrate court, or in the case of federal land, by federal magistrate. But even though we would have ordinances within the county, we don't have a county magistrate. So everything is filed under the state statute, where the court costs and everything go to the state. So we really have no teeth for a lot of our ordinances.
One of Mr. Lay's discussion was the ordinances, and I guess in the future, our Dr. Martinez, our county manager, is going to sit down with legal, and we're going to try to sit down and see how we can actually start enforcing our county ordinances. But today, we can definitely enforce state statute, and if there's any situation that goes on this extreme fire season, we will definitely enforce it with non-traffic citations. State police, all law enforcement officials will have that authority to do so. It's just the future, your all future discussion is going to be discussing the county ordinances, and that will be brought to you in the future, right, Doc?
Chair? And it's my recommendation that we do some radio ads, and notify the people that those, the consequences of them lighting fireworks. And to Manager Martinez about that.
Yes, ma'am, I
Notify
can do
people.
I have one more question. What about like charcoal in a contained charcoal grill? Is that allowed in your own private yard in the county?
It is, the only time that we would get involved, law enforcement could be involved is in the case that Sheriff talked about, is if it gets beyond your control, then it becomes an issue.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Your item, yes, item number 10. No additional mass verification. Mr. Maeta.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. The OEM office has conducted 2 meetings where we had the agencies at the table consisting of the State Police, New Mexico State Police, New Mexico Department of Health, Alta Vista Hospital, City of Las Vegas Police Department, Las Vegas Fire Department, American Red Cross, Superior Ambulance, Las Vegas City Schools, San Miguel County Fire Departments. We've come to the conclusion or to the agreement that this plan, there's no way that it could virtually cover every instance where an MCI event would happen. So within this plan, we're using it as a guidance tool that really covers 4 phases of an MCI, which would be the triage, the incident command, the communications, and the patient transportation. We're receiving some information, some documentation from Superior Ambulance that we're going to input into the plan and ultimately present the final draft at our 26th meeting, the 26th of June meeting, and ultimately bring it to the County Commission and the City Council to be adopted.
No, that's not complete. This item was for informational purposes. Thank you, sir. Item number 12, appointment to Lodgers Tax Advisory Board. Mr. Tafoya.
I think you skipped one, the Commission.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I bypass you, Mr.? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Item 11. Continuity of government plan, informational purposes also.
So the COOP actually stands for Continuity of Operations Planning. Under the previous San Miguel County administration, the COOP plan was created and now needs to be updated, reflecting our chain of command within the county government, and also identifies plans to continue essential functions during any type of disaster. A few of these functions would be vital records and resources, order of secession, alternate facilities, and the backup of our essential operating documents for the county agencies or departments. Our department's been working with our IT director to replicate the county's servers at an off-site location, which will probably be at our public works yard. With that being said, we will be reaching out to each department to obtain updated information and then update each of these sections into the plan and then bring it back to the commission for a final approval for San Miguel County group plan.
Any questions, concerns, or anything regarding this item from Mr. Maeta? Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Item number 12, appointment to Lodgers Tax Advisory Board, Mr. Tafoya.
Good afternoon. There is a vacancy on the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board, and the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board at their meeting now in May reviewed a request by a lady named Kimberly Allen of the Pecos River Cabins. She expressed an interest in serving on the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board. So she is a resident of Pecos,
And Pecos River Cabins consists of modern and seasonal rustic rental cabins. And the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board is requesting, because she is a member of, or involved in the tourism industry, requesting that the Board of County Commissioners accept the recommendation of the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board and appoint Kimberly Allen Pecos River Cabins to fill the vacancy on the board. So that's what we're asking for.
Concerns regarding the request?
Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, so he's the owner of the Pecos River Cabins?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because you have to be a lodger in order to qualify, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you, Alex.
You have to be a lodger or business to be on the board?
You have to pay lodger's tax, I believe, and then one community member. I think is only one on the board. It's not a
I
lodger.
make the motion to approve the appointment of Kimberly Allen to the Lodgers Tax Board.
Motion made by Commissioner Barrera.
Second.
To approve Kimberly Allen, second by Commissioner Ocamari. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 13.
Mr. Chairman.
Lodgers Tax Advisory Board.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, excuse me. I just wanted, since we were on this topic, I attended the Lodgers Tax meeting and met with the group. And I just wanted to let you know that as far as the discussion, I've recommended that we go into litigation against those who are failing to pay their lodger's tax. Lodgers are supposed to hold the money they collect from rent. A portion of that is the county's money. They're supposed to hold it for the county and then deliver it to the county. It's never their money. And we have a couple of violators that I recommended that we go after them immediately to take that money plus all penalties.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Item number 15, the web.
Did we finish the motion on that one? Did we approve it?
Yes.
Verification, Lodgers Tax Advisory Board, cleaning the work. Web.
Yes, the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board received proposals in response to the invitation for competitive sealed proposals, Lodgers Tax 2018 to 2019 RFP that was issued on May 29th. The Lodgers Tax Advisory Board reviewed the proposals, and the board voted to award lodgers tax funds in the amount of $31,448 as follows. The San Miguel County Fair Board, $1,400. Las Vegas First Independent, $5,000. The San Miguel County Fair Board, $900. The Las Vegas Arts Council, $1,500. The Animal Welfare Coalition, $600. Hermit's Peak Watershed Alliance, $300. The Main Street Program, $7,750. The Chamber of Commerce, $3,000. And the Pecos Business Association, $8,700. And the funding award were based on the proposals that were submitted, and the funding has to be used for marketing and advertising of tourist-related activities within San Miguel County. And what the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board is asking is that the Board of County Commissioners ratify the recommended Lodgers Tax Grant Funding Awards, and also authorize the county manager to sign the appropriate Lodgers Tax funding agreements between the county and the respective awardees.
I think there's I'm sorry. I think there's just a small correction because it's 31,448, and the item that's left off is a reimbursement to the fairgrounds for the 2,998.
Yes, and yes, there's also reimbursement. I'm sorry, I missed that one. a reimbursement to the county fairgrounds for work that was done at the county fairgrounds. This was an award that was made, I believe, 2 years ago. It took them some time to get the work done and submit an invoice. We're still reviewing that work and invoice because it was for, I think, electrical work, and I think the invoice included a couple of other items. So we're still reviewing that.
So were you going to include that on the request? On the ratification, were you going to include that?
Yes, we would, yes.
To be included in this?
Yes.
Okay, amended.
All right. Motion to approve it.
I make a motion to approve this ratified funding for the Lodgers Tax Advisory Board.
Recommendation, made by Commissioner Moreno.
I'll second that motion. Aye.
Thank you.
Item number 16, vacation plat application SB 00028. Mr. Tapoya.
Okay, this is a vacation of plat application SB-0028. And this is an application submitted by Stephen G. Millard and Robin L. Wood Millard, who own several lots in within the Pandray Village subdivision. And what they want to do is combine lots 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7 and consolidate them into an existing lot 6. And our county subdivision regulations, because this is within an approved subdivision, require that this type of application come before the Board of County Commissioners for public comment and ultimately approval, because county staff doesn't have the authority to do that administratively. So we would ask the county commission, it's a simple lot consolidation. The lots are too small. A lot of small lots there in the Pandray subdivision. It's a simple lot consolidation into one large lot. And we would ask for county commissioners to accept public comment on the application and then approve the application to vacate the plat. And Mr. and Mrs. Millard are here, and I hope I'm pronouncing their name correctly, in case there's any specific questions that the county commissioners may have.
They're here on behalf of this proposal? In favor of it? They're here in favor of this request?
Yes.
Is there anybody opposed?
You have to open it.
You have to open public comments. Yeah.
All right, this time we'll have a public hearing. Okay, could I have the people speaking on behalf of this proposal?
Yes, sir.
Do you have speaking in favor of it? Public comment?
Public comment in favor and public comment if there's any opposed to it as well. Yes.
Okay, so we have people that are speaking in favor.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
We're going to have a hearing on it, right?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, maybe I can swear everybody in who is going to participate at this point.
People that don't correct it.
Let me invite anybody who is going to participate or offer testimony or information regarding this issue to please stand, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do swear to tell the truth in my presentation to the Board of County Commissioners tonight.
Council, will you proceed with the hearing, please?
Yes, let me recognize for the record that this is a public hearing regarding the consolidation of lots at Pandray. And what we intend to do is have anybody who has knowledge or interest raise their hand, go to the podium, state your name, state your address, whether you're for or against or have concerns. Let's start off with the person closest to the podium. Yes. What is your name?
My name is Paul Aragon. I reside on Grand.
What's your last name?
Aragon.
How do you spell that?
Aragon.
And where do you live?
I live in Las Vegas on Grand Avenue.
And what is your concern tonight about this proposal?
Well, I have a number of concerns. My name is Paul Aragon. I am a former resident of Las Vegas and now current resident of Las Vegas, New Mexico. My family has been here for nearly 400 years near or around San Miguel County. I am now the general manager for the Panda Ray Village Association. So I'm here to let people know that the kind of action that is being requested now could very adversely affect the current village of Panda Ray, New Mexico. In the sense that it is our belief that the consolidation of these lots will set a precedent that is going to be hard to draw back from. Our village and our association uses the revenue from each one of these lots for our budget, our current budget, and as required by our covenants. We also have, we have a number of lot owners that have a number of different lots that would just flock to do exactly the same thing. If that revenue base is decimated, the permanent owners of the properties rates will likely increase in order to fund the water that we provide, not only for our village, but for the villages of Gascon, Upper Rociada, and the RV park. We provide water for about 220 residents outside the Panda Ray Village limit, and this would very, very adversely affect our ability to provide that. So it is my hope that perhaps the city council or the county managers can reconsider this proposal. I just think that it would be very, very adverse to what could happen, and we would lose revenue. We would have to raise rates on our permanent residents and the village residents surrounding us, in which we provide the city water. So we're very opposed to consolidating lots. We think it would amount to a number of people trying to do the same thing and avoid paying excess amounts on those lots as required by the covenants that they signed. So I'm open to any questions or...
Any question? I have a question. Mr. Aragon.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel that it would affect the revenue of Panda Ray's if some lots are consolidated because it's mandated by law, by the Environment Department?
There are 600...
In order to build?
Yes. There are 622 lots that are unimproved lots there. There's a number of lots that are there's a lot of owners that have multi-unit lots. And if they consolidate those, it could very, very adversely affect our budget. We are a nonprofit organization. Our budget is strictly in line with how many lot owners there are and how many homeowners there are. And it was put together nearly half a century ago. And this would be very, very adverse to the way we conducted business within our village.
Okay, how many lots consolidations have you had in the last 10 years? Because I know that the law came by about 10 years ago when people started consolidating, and I think we've only had like maybe 2 or 3 that I know of in the last 10 years.
Manager, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly that answer, but it's been minuscule at most. And when those lots were consolidated, it was, I believe, mandated that those lots, the covenants mandate that they still pay on those lots for the water, for use of water and or electricity brought to those lots. So I'm sorry I can't be more specific.
Let me ask Mr. Tafoya, because you're the one that does most of those requests. Have you had an influx of requests to consolidate, or is this just an isolated case?
This is not the first one. In the last probably 5 years, 6 years, this would probably be the fourth application for consolidation of lots. And primarily it's done because the lots in the Panbury subdivision are small lots. So a lot owner is unable to get a permit from the Environment Department for a septic system because a lot of the lots, and that's been the history in the past, for the reason in the past, a lot of the lots do not meet the 3/4 acre requirement for a septic system that exists now by the regulations of the New Mexico Environment Department. I would say that this is the first application that I can remember right offhand where there are 6 lots being combined. Usually it's just 2 or 3 lots being combined into one. It's one owner owns several lots and combines them, and then the past it's been because the lots have been too small to be able to do anything.
And what,
When Mr. Miller came in, we don't ask why do you want to consolidate the lots. We just explain the process that has to be followed, and then we make sure they follow that process.
how big of a lot will it be with 6 lots? Do you have an estimation? Would it be an acre, or more an acre? Or?
Let's see, the lots range in size from, looks like 0.789 acres, 0.973 acres, 0.917 acres, 0.567, 1.3, and I can't read I think this one is 0.6. So all of them, with the exception of one, are underneath 1 acre in size. So consolidated, we're probably going to be looking at 1, 2, 3, close to 5 or 6 acres altogether.
Okay.
So would it change the taxable value of the property consolidated? Would it change the tax revenue from the lots?
Excuse me?
Would it change the tax revenue from all those lots consolidated?
Or the property tax revenue? I'm not sure. I don't know if it would or not. I don't know how they're assessed, and I don't know how the assessor.
You're not even.
Well, I can only speak from the village covenants. The village covenants indicate that they could then, if given this vacation, it could result in them appealing to our covenants and saying that they may not be liable for the covenants that they signed for. We did address it with our attorney, and there are covenants, item 5, section F, section II, that indicate that each owner by acceptance of a deed thereto, or the signing of a contract or agreement to purchase the same lot, shall bind himself, his heirs, personal representatives, and assigns to pay all charges determined and levied upon such lot, including attorney's fees and the obligation to pay such charges, interest and costs thereby. So basically, they're supposed to be paying on each particular lot.
Is this a developed lot, or is it not developed?
The main lot is developed, the house that they currently reside in is developed, and if I'm not mistaken, the lots were purchased and were given to them. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, and they are below their property. So they will, it doesn't appear that they'll be developed, and it certainly won't be developed with a permanent residence if these lots are consolidated.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to get at is Padres aware of this new law that requires some people to consolidate in order to be able to develop?
Well, I believe the law states that there has to be a certain amount of acres to put in their own septic system. I'm not mistaken, 3/4 of an acre, and we are aware of the law. We provide water and electricity to the lot. The septic system is the responsibility of the owner. So yes, we are aware of it. These lots, if they're consolidated into one, won't be developed into 2. If they're looking to a permanent residence on the other sides, they're all large personal residents.
The reason I'm asking is because there was no issue before, no, on the other consolidations before, and now it became an issue on the consolidation, so that's the reason I'm asking this question.
I appreciate that. I think some of the consolidations that took place before were for a number of different reasons. One being, a gentleman can actually testify on consolidation on some of his lots. I'm the president of the association, so maybe you can answer my questions. And I do apologize.
I'll have some more questions later on.
Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Who's next? What is your name, please?
I am Mark Roman. I am the president of the Pandaray Village Community Association.
And where do you live?
I live in Pandaray.
And are you for or against the
I am against
proposition?
this proposal.
Please explain why.
Okay. Firstly, as Paul Aragon said, we sent this out to our legal staff, Danelle Smith, who serves in Vegas. She reviewed it and said it violates her covenants. Paul just told you which versions, basically. We platted this a long time ago, the plats. And when you buy the lots, you buy into the plats, and that's what they exist. I also have been very concerned this would set a precedent. This is the first time this has been done. I will answer your question about what was done in the past, but this is the first time that an owner has come in and just wanted to vacate all of his lots. You will get swamped if this gets approved. This will be the first one. In fact, I will be the next one who will do that, and the two more board of directors who will do it too. I can assure you that will be a large list of people who want to do this, and you'll just get swamped. The other issue I had was this did not go through the board of directors. It was just a private owner doing this on his own, going around this. All the previous ones that came before the commission was done by the board of directors. It went through them, and they determined whether a lot should be consolidated or not. There was about, I believe, three, I think Alex is right, there's around three, about 3 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood, where there was a state statute that said if a lot is less than 3/4 of an acre, you can't put one of the cheap sewer systems, one of the, what they call it, the big field, which I have in my house because I'm more than 3/4 of an acre. And the lots were too small, so they combined about 3 cases, I believe it was, where 2 lots that were too small that were adjacent were put together in a single plat. Vacated one up, became one plat, which reduced the taxes to the county and also reduced the assessment stuff. But those lots were pretty much unbuildable. That is not the case in this lot. They have 5 acres. They already have a house. They already have a sewer system in. It's already not a problem. He read off the lots. There's only one less than 3/4 acre that I know of. The rest are all not. I also want to say that when I asked him about it, he said he was just doing what I did, which is not true. When I bought 2 lots, built my house about 5 years ago and put it on one of the lots. Of course, I have 2 vacant lot tax values. Once I put a house on, the tax value goes up on one and stays the same on the other. And so I did not vacate the lot. If you look on the county rolls, I still own that vacant lot. And I still pay taxes on it. What I did do, which I don't know if it was Alex or whoever was here back then, 5 years ago, is that I still have the tax value on the lot, but is included in my other one. They just included it. It did not vacate, it got replat, so it did not have to come before the board. So it just simply added the 2 together and sent me one bill. Made it simple for me to pay, made it simple for you guys to collect. But I still have that lot, it is still on the roll, it is still there, it is never vacated. What Mr. Millard wants to do is vacate these other lots, take them off the rolls, both for us and for you. So I guess to summarize, I will say that the board of directors is strongly against this and recommends that you disapprove this and don't open up this can of worms. Questions, please?
Yes, I have a question. Are you saying that if they consolidate the lots, Pandaray stands to lose?
Yes.
Revenues from what?
Well, because we have an assessment for house, we call it an improved lot, and we have assessments for unimproved lots. I have a house and 2 lots, so I pay a house assessment and I pay a vacant lot assessment. If I vacate that lot and roll it into the house, I only have an improved lot, no unimproved lots anymore. So his 5 lots would all be under 1 lot. You just pay a house assessment. and we would not have the collections on the other lots. And I don't know what the county would do, I have no idea what you guys would do.
So is that the reason that they're consolidating? Is that what you're,
I don't know.
we'll ask them when they come up. Yeah, okay, thank you.
I mean, I know I asked him, and he said he's doing just what I did, but it's not what I did. I did not vacate my property. And furthermore, once you do that, you can no longer separate it. You know, I still have my property without selling, except that my house actually sits across the boundary, so I have a hard time selling it. But it's still, there's a lot of cases like that at Panda Rate. They will just come through here. Just, you'll see, I don't know, you'll see a dozen at the next meeting probably, people will get word of this. And like I said, it violates our covenants according to our lawyer, so. I believe if they want to do this, they need to come to the board of directors, and like we've done before, and have the board make a ruling and find a reason why, like there's a state law like there was back then, that we were trying to adhere to. That is not the case on this one.
Thank you. Next.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Commissioners. My name is Stephen Lard. My tribe, live in Canterbury, as you were. There's several points here that have been brought up, and I'll try to keep this succinct. My understanding of what the attorney said in this comment was the county can decide as they see fit, as long as they don't change our covenants, which the county has no authority to do that. That is within the auspices of the board of directors.
I'm sorry, could you speak a little bit louder?
Okay. Better?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. The covenant pieces read basically refer to paying on lots as you bought them. It doesn't address anything about later consolidating them or that kind of thing. And quite frankly, the whole intent of my consolidation had really nothing to do with the assessment piece. And since that seems to be the centerpiece of the objection, I would like to also make the board or the commission aware that if the board of directors has that concern that this could snowball on them and cost them dramatically in the end, which I see the potential for that, they are rounding the corner to their annual meeting, and they can amend at that meeting their covenants to prevent this kind of thing from happening in the future. There have been consolidations that happened in the past that had nothing to do with the septic system. They were done for various reasons, personal reasons, and two that I am personally aware of, beyond the ones Mr. Tafoya has enumerated, were standing members of the community in positions of authority, board members. I'm not sure why one happened, but I do know another one was done by a current board member having to do with taxation. I got that information here recently when I was doing some research preparing for this. And I'd like to thank Mr. Tafoya for helping me through this process. It was his guidance and his office's guidance that I went to see how this needed to be done, how I could take all my properties and make them one. Having 6 separate accounts with the county seems a little bit, a lot to manage, we'll put it that way. So bringing them together as one is what I wanted to do. As I have retired recently from 30 years of naval service, my goal in Robbins was to land on a piece of property. 5 acres was our bare minimum. And this is where we landed, was in Pandaray. It's a beautiful setting up there. Technically, I wanted 10 acres, but she was happy with 5, so that's what we did. Really, some of the reasons that I want to do this are stated in the submission I made to Mr. Tafoya, which covers. I really wanted to increase the aesthetic value of the property by consolidating it into one. I have developed lot 5. I've got a garage on it. Lot 7, these are all 3 together, has my septic system on it. So you can never break those 3 lots apart anyway. I picked up at a reasonable price lots below my house. I live on a slope about like so. And down at the bottom, it comes and does this, and there's a really beautiful, and it just added and made the aesthetics of the property so much better, where we can go down and walk our dog, walk through the woods, and not have to leave our property and have a very nice piece of land to enjoy for our retirement. Future improvements, my wife wants to put a memorial down at the bottom of one, but we haven't gotten that far. For our veterans who served alongside me over my 40-year period of service. I had a 10-year hole in the middle there. Basically, I want to consolidate these tracts of land, and really it's to avail myself of some of the considerations that this state and this county allows a 30-year veteran that's in my current state. And that would allow me to bring all my properties in for an exemption. And I know that's probably not what you want to hear, because that's some money not coming into the coffers. But I am rated to the level of disability that the only way I can avail myself of this is to pull all those lots into one. Otherwise, it's just a home. Those are most of the reasons I want to do it, and addresses some of the concerns of my fellow neighbors here. Thank you very much.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
It sounds like the concern from those that are objecting is really that as far as the organization, they will be losing funds based upon the consolidation or vacation of lots, which supports the organization, which supports the community. Would you has anybody discussed the idea of not objecting to the lot vacation if the funds were still maintained at the current level to the organization? Let me go ahead and ask you first.
No, that has not been discussed.
Would you be open to that?
Yes. If we get too deep into the politics of Pandaray, why these funds are so desperately needed, we would be here all day. But suffice it to say that Pandaray is in a financial situation that they cannot afford to have this kind of thing happen wild across, where everybody consolidates, their revenue basis can go down. And that is a real threat. I will acknowledge that. Again, one way they can take care of that is by amending their covenants to preclude that. The piece that was quoted does not preclude consolidation. It simply says you will pay on your lots. It's their way of saying you have to pay what you're due up here. It does not say you can't consolidate. So there's two ways to go at it. I don't know what the end state of the others that did do the consolidation over the years has been, whether or not they're assessed at the old plat or on the new plat. But obviously I have brought to their attention through this action the potential for this to become an issue for them. But again, they have that opportunity to address that in their annual meeting, which is in August.
Mr. Tafoya, do you have any idea how much these consolidation or vacation of lots cost the county in general?
No, I don't. We have checked with the assessor's office to determine property tax collected either before or after. We just have dealt with the applications for the consolidations, and that's it.
Okay, Mr. Aragon, I hate to go back after someone's spoken unless you have a specific response to my question. Has there been discussion as to the solution that I hear might be there? Please stand up, I'm having trouble hearing.
I'm sorry. We would be okay with talking about it. We were alarmed that it wasn't brought to our attention first, and it was circumvented directly to the county. But we're certainly happy to see that as well. And if we could come to an agreement that indicated that they would continue to pay all lots, I think that's something that we're really close to being able to resolve. Our concern is precedent setting.
mean, this community was developed 50 years ago plus, and within the guidelines of all the county rules and regulations, now we come to decide that it's time to change it, because it doesn't fit specifically certain lot owners' wishes. And not just the lot owners, but a number of lot owners, that would designate the community that is like the majority of Las Vegas and San Miguel County. So that's what I want to most of. Yes, we're certainly open to talking about resolving this.
Okay, is there anything else you want, before we move on?
To address the concern of a precedent being set, as we've stated, this has already occurred up there. So precedent has been set. It can be done. It has been done in that area.
Anybody else wishes to testify? Go ahead and if you'll just answer the specific question, has this issue been negotiated or offer a settlement this way?
No, it has not. The question was, how would it affect the
Please stand, I have trouble hearing.
I think your question was how would it affect the assessments, structure, and drainage. By vacating lots, we have only two types of assessments. Vacant lot, and third lot was we vacate all the lots, and vacant lot assessment. So we negotiated the deal and said, well, because we used all the lots, we have to be more, I don't know if that's not, that's similar, it's possible.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Robin Lamar, and when we first considered buying the other three lots that adjoin our three lots, I mentioned to Stephen that there's one, it sits on a corner as you turn to either go to the golf club or to the lodge and restaurant, that has a perfect spot to put a memorial to veterans. I would like to put the United States flag, the New Mexico flag, and each service flag with a little bench there as a memorial for our vets. That was my ultimate goal for the three lots. Plus, the three lots needed to be cleaned up. There was a lot of dead wood, a lot of garbage on it. We have started cleaning it, gathering the wood so that we can get rid of it. It's too bad that the gentleman didn't come and talk to us before this meeting to find out what our plans were for this, instead of waiting till it comes to this. You did, Mark did. We do have, we want it to all be one. We want it so that when we sell it, or it goes to our kids, or it goes up into whatever after we're gone, it's one large, beautiful area of Pandora. We never, ever thought about not paying our assessments on the lots as they stand now. That was never a consideration, ever. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to address this issue? There being nobody, no further testimony, this open hearing is closed.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Montoya, excuse me. Did the Millards satisfy, San Miguel County has an ordinance that provides for consolidation, correct? Did this gentleman cross all his T's and dot all his I's? Did he follow the ordinance and do everything that he was supposed to do in order for consolidation to happen? Because when I've seen this before and there's been opposition to it, if we can't make a decision because of an agreement that they have with the association, we could easily just appeal it to the district court and it should be overturned at that rate because he followed our ordinance completely to the T.
Yes.
then it would be very difficult for us to deny him to vacate. And then the other concerns they have sounds like a civil matter to me. Have you seen that before here at this county?
No, this is a new one, a new situation.
Well, we've been taken to district court a number of times and overturned because we made our decision based on emotion and just like the liquor thing down the road and other things, instead of did they follow our ordinance to a T.
Yes.
So it's my understanding that the Millers followed the San Miguel County ordinance to vacate and consolidate properties.
Okay, what's the question again?
The Millards followed the San Miguel County ordinance to consolidate the properties and to vacate there. And
Yes, they followed the process.
they followed the process completely.
And a decision to either approve or deny the application would need to be based on findings of fact. So if you approve it because they followed the ordinance or whatever. If you deny it, you also have to have a similar finding for denying it. You can't just deny it just to deny it. Similar, you can't approve it just to approve it either.
Right.
It has to be either decision has to be based on findings of fact.
Thank you, Mr. Tafoya. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I have a question, Mr. Tafoya. Since the Board of Trustees from Pan Race, are they allowed to change the requirements for lots in the Pan Race area? For example, let's say from consolidating 5 acres just to maybe consolidate to 1 acre tracts instead of 5 acre tracts or 10 acre tracts. Do they have the say so as far as making their own regulation?
They would have to amend their covenants and I would say most likely, because I don't have them in front of me, most likely the covenants or the restrictions that they have would need to be approved by a percentage of the lot owners, 2/3 or 3/4, whatever it happens to be, at and I could be incorrect, maybe Mr. Aragon can correct me, but at probably an annual meeting where that would be an agenda item for that purpose, so yes, they can. They would have their own internal process as an association to follow to do that.
Mr. Aragon, has the association considered reviewing the ordinance?
We have not, at this point in time. It's inevitable that this is, if the attempt is to stop paying taxes, which they indicated it is not, so I appreciate that. Stop paying the assessments, then we would take it, go by the horn and address it in our entire community.
It seems that the Millers were saying that it was not an attempt to stop paying the tax dues. So that's what I'm saying, that they followed the law as far as the application and everything. So I think it's up to the association to create a new set of rules that apply to all owners of within the Panteray Village to change whatever you want to change, because as commissioners, we're listening to the facts that are presented to us. They followed the regulations, they followed our regulations. So that's where I'm at now.
I appreciate that, Commissioner.
All right. We have,
No, we're going to Okay, yeah, I would just like to also say that when the process is followed and Mr. Tafoya's done his job, the county's done our job, it seems to me, from what I've heard, that the association needs to go, and then we said it's been 50 years, and maybe not just with this issue, but looking at your overall ordinance and your rules overall. It looks like you guys need to do that and improve your communications and for your own benefit for the future.
Respectfully, our covenants are in place and have been used. Every model that bought the parameters and the rate and size and agreement that they did that. The policies and the margin of the they adhere to those policies. We appreciate And we will, at this point, not really need to change our budgets because the law has indicated to the commission that they are willing to continue to pay their assessments of those particular lots.
Okay, so then maybe just communication is more, is what needed rather than amending your ordinance?
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation to actually change funds. So it's worked for 50 years, but we do that, and thank the Mars for the work that they're perfectly willing to continue to pay the $7,000.
I guess the only other question, Mr. Romero, that I have is, does county law supersede covenants?
Normally, covenants outweigh county law except when the covenants violate civil rights. Then the county, state, and federal government law rules.
Don't they also have to fit in, like their covenants have to be lawful according to the county, right? They have to be-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Do they submit those to your office, Alex, this development or this community and others like that? When they have an association, do they submit those to the county or only when there's an issue that's brought to us today?
For the most part, the recent ones do, yes. Through the years, we've collected copies of covenants from different property owners we have many old subdivisions, Pandora is an old subdivision, and back in the day, there was no planning and zoning commission. So we have many covenants and a couple of 3-ring binders, large binders, and there are subdivisions or covenants were never recorded in the clerk's office, so we have no record of them. Pandora does a very good job of managing their association and keeping everything up to date. They're one of the better subdivisions in the county. But yes, they can revise their covenants going through the process.
So was the reason this came to planning and zoning was because of the taxes? I mean, I'm sorry, I missed the point then.
No, our county subdivision regulations do not allow county staff to approve a consolidation of lots within a subdivision that was approved by the Board of County Commissioners, even if that subdivision was approved 50 years ago. So if an applicant comes in and owns 2 or 3 lots, let's say in the Pandora subdivision, we have to go through this process. It's the re-subdivision process of our subdivision regulations. Any change to lot line, utility line, or easement requires this process.
Thank you so much.
All right. The request for this application that we 0028 was that we review, number one, review the application, number two, accept public comments on the application, which is done, and number 3, approve the application to vacate the plat.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Commissioner Leoria that we vacate the plat. Second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Varela. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask for a roll call vote, just because the number of votes may be material.
All right. Commissioner Olivari.
Yes.
Commissioner Varela.
Yes.
Commissioner Martinez.
Yes.
Commissioner Padilla.
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Item number 15, road petition application number CR 18-001. Mr. Tafoya.
The county has received a road petition application number CR-18-001 from residents in the Conchas Dam area, and they're requesting adoption of 5 roads as county roads to be placed on the county road log and adopted as county roads and maintained by the county. So the process for the adoption of roads requires a public road viewing. So what we're asking the Board of County Commissioners is to authorize our county road viewers to schedule a public road viewing And then we're asking that the road viewers be directed to return a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners for consideration, and that recommendation would be considered by means of a public hearing at a Board of County Commission meeting. So that's what we're asking, authorize a road viewing and direct the road viewers to return a recommendation.
I have a question. Are these road, I understand there's an expense with this road viewing, and it's quite considerable expense. Do we have it in the budget? And are these 5 roads, 5 different expenses, or is it one expenses since it's in the same area?
Well, there are 5 different roads.
So
yeah,
it's
all
5 different viewings?
Yep. Well, we'll probably schedule it at one time and do them all at one time. We wouldn't do 5. It would be we're probably going to handle it as one road viewing for each individual road. And we'll handle it that way, but most likely what we'll do is have the road viewers complete their recommendation form for each individual road, and then we'll bring it back and ask the Board of County Commissioners to consider each road separately, although it's all one application, because we haven't seen the roads. I don't know if Mr. Madrid or Mr. Lopez is familiar with those roads and what their condition is, but each road is going to have its own specific characteristics. So most likely we'll ask the Board of County Commissioners to consider each one separately.
Mr. Chairman, is it even possible for us to accept roads if they're not up to specs according to our statute?
When we do our recommendation, part of the recommendation includes whether the roads are current to our county road specifications that exist now, and that of course would be a factor for the Board of County Commissioners to consider. In adopting roads that are in poor condition, the Board of County Commissioners needs to remember that there's going to be some expense incurred by the county in bringing those roads up to the specifications that was adopted by the Public Works Department several years ago. And so that's one of the items that we look at.
And this road that you're looking,
for example, is it a school bus route and how many people live on it, things like that.
this road that you're looking at, are they like miles of roads or just like blocks?
Excuse me?
Are they miles of road or just like blocks within a subdivision?
I think they're
Blocks. They're blocks.
Okay.
They're all concentrated in one area, and the lengths aren't that long. It is one piece of the subdivision, and they're not that long, but the condition of the roads is questionable, but it's not that big a distance. It's the distance from here that really would be a factor.
And would that, if we were to accept them, would that include culverts and everything else that goes with that?
Well, that's one thing that the road review committee would look at, because drainage is another issue, not only the condition of the road, but if it's in a low area where the water might climb, even if the road is in perfect shape, that's another issue that needs to be considered.
Okay, thank you, Morris.
Right.
Thank you, Alex.
Need a motion to approve road petition application number CR 18-001.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Varela.
Second. Second.
Second by Commissioner Varela. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Item number 16. Application for summary review of P. Pacheco.
Yes, this is application for summary review submitted by Mr. Agustin Pacheco. What he has is a 56-acre tract of land, more or less, in the area of Trujillo. And he is proposing to divide that tract of land into 3 parcels, and our subdivision regulations consider that a summary subdivision. Anything 2 or more parcels, it did not qualify for a claim of exemption application, and so county staff is not authorized to approve this type of application. It has to come before the Board of County Commissioners. And so we are asking that the Board of County Commissioners hold and conduct a public hearing and accept public comment on the application. And then we're also asking that the application be approved. It's a simple summary review application in that the 3 tracts of land are going to remain vacant. There will not be any improvements such as utilities or roads. They're all accessible off Highway 104, and they're going to remain just open ranch land. And Mr. Pacheco lives in California, so he's not able to attend, so he designated Mr. Ted Martinez to speak on his behalf for the application. We did an agency review as is required. There were no concerns from Public Works, New Mexico Department of Transportation, the Environment Department, and Fire Department. So we're asking for public comment on the application, and then we're asking for the application be approved.
Councilor, I can make this.
Let me ask anybody who's going to address this issue to stand, raise their right hand, and let me swear in our staff also. State after me. I state your name. You swear to tell the truth? In my presentation to the Board of County Commissioners tonight.
So with that, we would ask for public comment on the application.
Public comment?
Do you have any comments?
No, I don't have any comments to all this issue.
Please, nothing further? Is that what you're saying?
Anybody here opposed to it?
Pardon?
Anybody here opposed to this?
No, we did have one individual, because we sent out public notices and called and asked, why did he get a public notice for this meeting? And we explained what was going on, and he said, okay, a lot of times people don't understand my writing, I suppose, so they'll call and they ask, and that's what one individual did. But we haven't had any comments from anyone.
Mr. Chairman. Okay, the only question I have is, would that change the zoning at all? The zoning stays the same?
Would that change?
The zoning?
Oh, yes, the zoning would
What
stay
is
the
it?
same.
What is it zoned as?
Agricultural residential
Okay,
is the
what?
zoning. Agricultural residential is the zoning. That would stay the same, yes.
So it'll stay the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Then we can take a vote on it, is that correct, Councilor?
Yes, go ahead. There being no further testimony, we can close the hearing.
Okay, at this time I need a motion to approve the application for summary review.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Commissioner Padilla. Second. Second by Commissioner Varela, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Item number 17, adoption of ordinance SMC 06-12-18 4D-1.2. Mr. Tapuera.
Authorization, this is adoption of ordinance number SMC-06-12-18-ORD-1.2. An authorization was given to the county manager by the Board of County Commissioners on May 9, 2018 to proceed with the adoption of this proposed ordinance. And what this is a ordinance, it's an amendment to our existing business license ordinance And that amendment is a paragraph that would require persons, firms, corporations, or associations, when they apply for a business license, to provide copies of all current and appropriate licenses, certificates, or permits issued by the relevant agency, division, or department from the state of New Mexico, which authorizes them to conduct business and operate within the state. Some of the concerns we have are, for example, individual comes in and wants to get a business license to perform midwife services. Well, they need to have a certificate from the New Mexico Department of Health, a surveyor, for example, taxi service, things of that nature. And we didn't have anything in our ordinance that allows us to request a copy of their appropriate license or certificate. So we want to add that language in there to make sure that we are issuing business licenses to legitimate businesses that are authorized by the state to conduct their services in the
Does
county.
this require the public hearing?
Pardon?
Does this require the hearing, public hearing?
Yes, adoption of this ordinance will require public hearing, yes.
Let me request anybody that wishes to participate or comment on this particular ordinance, please stand up, raise your right hand, including staff, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Alex Tufoya,
Do swear to tell the truth.
swear to tell the truth.
In my presentation to the San Miguel County Board of County Commissioners
My presentation to the San Miguel County Board of County Commissioners.
tonight. Tonight.
Tonight.
I have nothing further to add.
Chair, the second subject. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Padilla,
Second.
second by Mr. Martinez, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Item number 18, resolution number 16, at 06-18-18-4-19-404, operating San Miguel to enter a cooperative agreement with the New Mexico Department of Transportation for road improvement funds to local government fund program. Here in Madrid.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, at Public Works, sometimes we get accused of doing things backwards. So we're going to do that for the next few items. First of all, we're going to be brief. And second of all, we're going to ask your permission to bring money into the county's budget instead of taking it out. The first item that you read, Commissioner, is permission to accept and approve the match. The match has already been budgeted for one of our local government road funds. The appropriation to the county would be $209,700. The match would be $69,900. Department of Transportation requires your approval.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve it by Mr. Padilla, second.
Second.
And by Mr. Martinez, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item number 19, resolution number 6-06-18-4-19, amendment 54, authorizing San Miguel County to enter into cooperative agreement with the New Mexico Department of Transportation to road improvement fund to the local government road fund program. You agree?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, the previous item was the county arterial program, local government road fund. This one is the co-op local government road fund. The amount appropriated to the county would be $103,273. The match, again, which has already been appropriated in the county budget, is $34,424.
In favor?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to have the need a motion to approve. Second. Motion made by Commissioner Martinez, second by Commissioner Padilla, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 20, resolution number 06-12-18, -7747, 962-19 authorizing San Miguel County to enter into a cooperative agreement with the New Mexico Department of Transportation for road improvement funds through the local government road fund program. Mr. Madrid.
The third resolution that we require is for the school bus route program, being funded by the local government road fund. The amount appropriated to the county would be $117,447, and the amount of the match already appropriated by the county would be $39,149.
Quite a bit of money you're bringing in. All right, need a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Martinez, second by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
I have a question. Have those projects already been identified with the money?
Yes, they have. And very briefly, I'll tell you, two of them will be combined to work on 8th Street Extension. One of them is for the road that connects State Road 65 to, what's the name, what used to be called Black Cinder Road. That little section there. We're on item number 21.
Item number 21, approval of bid award for the revenue project bond in Country Acres to the lowest qualified bidder. Mr. Madrid.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, we ask that you approve the bid award for the project in Country Acres. This is mainly a drainage and road improvement project. It's close to the first entrance off of 8th Street Extension. The low bid was from Rocky Road, and the amount of that bid was $101,492.70, including gross receipts tax. There was one other bidder from out of town, Cornerstone Contractors. Their bid was almost $30,000 higher. There was only two bidders on this project.
All right, need a motion to approve the revenue bond project of Country Acres.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Lee, second.
Second.
Commissioner Martinez, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 22, appointment of Americans with Disabilities Act, compliance officer, community corporate supervisor, Eileen Cedillo. Oh, sorry, did I miss one?
Nope, you're right on track, Commissioner. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, last year, the Federal Highway Administration imposed a requirement that any recipients of federal funds are required to have a Title VI plan in place, which is an equal opportunity plan. That was done by the county. This year, we are required to develop an ADA transition plan, which assures that we do an assessment and evaluation of all public facilities, thoroughfares, right-of-way infrastructure for San Miguel County. We need to do this in order to continue to get federal funds. The first part of this is to appoint a compliance officer to show that we are engaged in this. I will be developing the plan. Eileen Cedillo will be in charge of administering that plan. Once it's complete, she would be kind of the EEO officer for ADA. Any issues that are of concern, any incidents regarding ADA would be reported to her, and it would be her responsibility to get them resolved somehow through the county. This is the first portion of that. As the plan gets drafted, I'll keep you informed, and when it is ready for your approval, it'll come before you so that you can approve it, and we can submit it to the Federal Highway Administration. That's the purpose of today's action.
All right, need a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
ADA compliance officer.
So moved.
Commissioner Padilla, second. Commissioner Varela, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 23, Public Works Division report for the month of May 2018.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Commissioners.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon. So I think you all received the monthly report, and I'm gonna skip that unless you want me to cover all the roads. But I'll go on to updates more so. First of all, I'd like to update Ecos. Yeah, we started the fence project. Good news. Yeah, they've set the post in concrete. So we're waiting for them to set, and we should be able to hang fence hopefully by the end of the week. That project complete pretty quickly. We've been also in Juela del Padre, we did some tree removal on that road. As soon as I get the grader over there, we'll take care of that other issue on Juela del Padre.
That Arroyo? Is that
Yeah.
Arroyo?
Remember that private road that goes off to the left?
Yeah.
And you had some drainage concerns there?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take care of that as soon as we get over there. The light project, which is replacing all the lighting within our areas, that we have maintenance committed to on Bernal, actually, and Romeroville, and then also the detention center area. That project will be complete today. We'll have some minor other issues that we have to take care of that, but we should have all the lighting up and running tonight, hopefully. Is it looking good? Great.
Good job.
Yeah, and then we've been busy doing pothole repair. We took care of Chapel area, did all the pothole repair there, and also in San Isidro. Currently we're in Conchas. Believe it or not, they had 4 inches of rain on Friday and created a lot of damage over there. So we had to send some resources over there and take care of the issues in Conchas.
And back to San Isidro, were you able to, was it a plumber? And I saw the lady, she was asking about what was happening.
We didn't address anything as far as the issue as all the pothole repair project. But yeah, we need to do an inspection on that and see what drainage has to be addressed.
Request for culvert too, thank you.
Okay, we'll look into that. And then White Barn Road, we broke ground on that yesterday. So the contractor has started the White Barn Road. I'm about to say that's finally gonna happen.
Estrada Road?
Yes, ma'am. So we are taking care of that. Gainas, we're gonna do a pothole repair project up in Gainas. We're awaiting approval from CS on that contract. We have a contractor ready to go. We kind of revised it a little bit. We're gonna do basically some course leveling, and then we're gonna do a chip seal on close to a mile of that road and do that improvement, so that'll happen soon also. Mojitos Frios, we did a chip seal project on that one as well. They will be brooming that road tomorrow, cleaning it up, and then we're gonna do a fog seal on that, and that project will be complete also hopefully tomorrow. And then Country Acres, we're all ready to go on that as well, so we'll start on that shortly. That's all I have.
Been a long time coming.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for all your work, and just follow up with Ms. Romero and North San Isidro, because I think they're waiting for, I think it was material on the road, not just the potholes, so I don't know if you've talked to them about.
Yeah, I'll follow up on it. I'm not sure
what.
what.
To fix, I haven't been there myself, just what they told me.
Yeah, I know a lot of those people expected more on that road than what we're able to do, because, when it comes to pavement and stuff like that, it is expensive, and people don't realize that when they see the improvement, and they're like, is that all you've done?
Yeah,
With 100,000, and it doesn't get you very far, but yeah,
So I don't know if their
they expect.
expectation was based on something they thought was agreed upon, or just what they wished for. So
I believe that's the issue there.
They just wished for.
They expected the whole road to get paved, I think.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, you're welcome, thank you.
Item number 24, recommendation to approve San Miguel County Ordinance number 06-12-18.
I was going to say good afternoon, but I should say good evening, Chairman and board members.
Good evening.
The recommendation is to hold a public hearing and comments. San Miguel County Ordinance number 06. Outright, turn it over to you for public hearing.
So, notice of proposed adoption was publicized on our website as well as the Las Vegas Optic on May 23rd. So we've had approximately 20 days for written comment. I have not received written comment. I've submitted the personnel ordinance to our union president as well as to AFSCME.
the warden requested emailed version for personnel in the detention center. So we have submitted it for different people to review. So I guess now my request is to open it up for public hearing and open and accept public comment.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, let me ask that anybody who wishes to participate in the discussion or give testimony regarding proposed San Miguel County Ordinance number 61218 regarding personnel matters, replacing ordinance number 1212-2000, please stand, including staff, raise their right hand, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Eileen Cedillo,
Do swear to tell the truth
do swear to tell the truth
in my presentation to the San Miguel County Board of Commissioners
in my presentation to San Miguel County Board of Commissioners
regarding this matter.
regarding this matter.
Tonight. Go ahead and make your presentation.
Okay, so the last 2 months, I've been leading up to this point. In the April meeting, I did informational purposes as to, I recognized my committee that worked on this, the length of time that we worked on this. And basically that this is a replacement of the prior personnel ordinance. The entire thing was, I started from scratch and rewrote the entire thing. As I mentioned, I've already sent it to Dina Holcomb. She submitted her review. Melinda Gonzalez has submitted her review. Oh, my committee. What would I do without my committee? Gary Gold, Matt Elwell, Alex Tafoya, Morris Madrid. Just of the ones that are here, that are present. Yolanda Cruz left. Tasha Martinez was instrumental. Justin Garcia. I think that's everybody. Oh, Don Kreider. Thank you. And so now it's ready to go.
Did you get comments from staff? Were they able to look at it?
Yes, so in March, on March 22nd, we did hold I sent out a global invitation to all staff to meet here in the chambers. And I think for the most part, yeah, I think they like the changes. One of the biggest changes was to bereavement leave. We changed it from 1 day to 3 day within a calendar year. And this falls in line with what a lot of other counties are doing. I looked at several other counties at their policies. The other change was to expand the definition of immediate family, and that fell in line with the requirements of Family and Medical Leave Act. We did include domestic partnership in immediate family, and included other family members. So that covers, for example, bereavement leave, whereas it was a little more restrictive in the old policy. The other thing that we changed was we changed the accruals for leave. We increased it by an hour per pay period. We added a section on general ethical principles and conduct. We expanded discrimination, harassment, and sexual harassment. In light of the Me Too movement, there was a lot of things that we needed to look at in reference to that. And as far as reporting procedures, I added a section on investigations, internal investigations. So there was, and then there was a lot of information that was added that wasn't clear that it was part of practice, but it wasn't part of policy. So a lot of what we do in payroll or was added in there as far as prorating leave accruals. Melinda, if you can think of anything.
Mr. Chairman, let me compliment Ms. Cedillo on this personnel manual. Of all of the contracts that we do at the county, this is probably the most complex, the most law, the most that the manager and staff and commissioners and employees deal with on a day-to-day basis. Each subsection, and there must be 30, 40, 50 subsections, has a different set of laws that pertain to that. Each of the sections are changing with Supreme Court decisions every year. It is the hardest job to put this together. It's like squeezing a balloon filled with water. You squeeze one end and you think you got that taken care of, but then when you get to the other end, things have changed. This is impressive, just really complex and impressive.
Thank you.
Tremendous, I'm looking at it, great work, Mr. Young, and committee too. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the recommendation is to order public hearing, accept public comment. To approve and adopt on the ordinance 06-12-18 personnel. Motion to approve. So moved.
I just need to add one more detail to that. I am asking that it be effective July 1st of 2018, as there are some implications, because we do need to go in there and change the accruals for payroll.
That it become effective July 1st?
That it become effective July 1st.
Is there gonna be prior training on the ordinance, on the,
What we plan to do, and
employees?
yes, and I emailed all the supervisors this morning, and I let them know that once it is approved, seconded, and adopted, that, and recorded, that we would start meeting with all staff. And what we do with the personnel ordinance is we give staff an acknowledgement saying that they've been given the opportunity to read it and ask questions while we are present. So what we'll be doing is we'll be taking sections of employees, not to disrupt county business, but we'll be pulling in individuals to go over this with every county employee.
One more question. Does the union go by this ordinance?
If you notice on that very, I think it's in the general statement, if there is a policy that is not covered by the collective bargaining agreement, they follow the personnel ordinance. Now, if there is something that is specified in the collective bargaining agreement, that is their sole source that they follow. So there's a lot of area that is not covered in collective bargaining, in the collective bargaining agreement. So primarily, yes, this will be their binding contract as an employee.
Any other comments? All right, the recommendation is that we need a motion to approve, ordinance 06-12-18, effective, to become effective July 1st, 2018. 2018.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Commissioner Maria,
Aye.
all opposed? Motion carried. Under item 25, personal action and changes for the month of May 2018.
So as part of your packets, you have all the personnel changes that have taken place in the month of May.
Make a motion to approve the ratification, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
The motion made by Commissioner Padilla to approve, second by Commissioner Valero. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Under item number 26, approval for Jennifer Lafayette to take online classes.
All I need is your approval, good afternoon, everyone, for Jennifer to continue her accounting education that she's been taking. This class will be online and it will require probably 2 hours of her day for her education, to continue her education. She says $150 for her books, $150 for her class. So we need your approval of $300 for her education.
Need a motion to approve Ms. Lafayetta's online class?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made by Commissioner Olivares, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Valero. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Item number 27, award of HVAC contract. Ms. Gonzalez.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, the county went out for a request for proposals for HVAC services, and we received 2 proposals. One of them was from Train US, and the other one was from CAC Incorporated. A committee was formed to independently rate the RFPs, and Train was rated the higher of the 2. So we're asking your permission to authorize the county manager and staff to enter into a contract with Train US. It says Anchor Point, but it should say Train US.
Any discussions, questions, concerns? I need a motion to approve a HVAC contract.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Olivares, any second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Padilla, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item number 28, professional service and contingency fee agreement between San Miguel County and Attorney Sid D. Lopez and David M. Holliston, Ray Vargas, and Felicia C. Weingartner.
He's the opioid guys.
You are Mr. Vargas?
He's the opioid guys.
Chairman, Commission, I know you guys are busy, I don't want to take any of your time. We've spoken to you about this contract before. Really, I'm just here if you have any questions. We're eager to get going on this. As you probably heard today, Santa Fe County filed their lawsuit in the last couple of days. I'm hoping we can be the 5th county or 5th entity in New Mexico to file. So far, it's been the state attorney general, Mora County, Bernalillo County, and this week Santa Fe County. I would like San Miguel to be the next one. And if you have any questions about the contract, by all means.
Question, how soon will you file?
Well, probably as early as next week.
Oh, good.
It might be the week after because I think we'd like to confer with the county attorney on the complaint once we have it drafted, but.
Excellent.
Let's get this party started.
I have a question. Are you working with the other counties? Or are you acting independently? Everyone's acting?
Right now, everyone's acting independently, with the exception of there are some counties, in my understanding, they're going to hire the same law firms. So they're going to have some crossover. Honestly, at some point, we're all going to have to get together. But right now, it's just a matter of people making, or counties or other entities making the decision to move forward with entertaining council.
All right, any other comments, concerns? Need a motion to approve?
Second.
Second by Varela, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
So get them.
Item number 29, bank transfer for the month of May.
On May the 4th, we had a special transfer to payroll from general fund. It was $6,264.86 to payroll. And then from detention center, we had $187.69. And I believe this was for uniforms for the department. On May 10th, we had our payroll Our regular payroll from detention, it was $52,435.68. From general fund, it was $176,770.25, a total of $229,205.93. On May 18th, we had payroll transfer, which was $51,036 from detention center, $1,179,825.58 from general fund, a total of $238,61.58. And then we had another internal transfer, which was from fire funds to indigent funds. That was $1,080,000. And I think this was just a transfer, correct?
That was a budgeted transfer, yes.
Budget transfer, yeah. And then on May 29th, we had a wire transfer that went out to Chase, New York, and that was $395,000 principal amount, $72,750 was interest, and that was on a bond, correct?
Right. And I should clarify that $180,000 was from the general fund reserves to the indigent fund. Did you say the fire fund?
I said the fire fund, that's right.
Yeah, it should be from the general fund reserve.
Transferred from fire fund to general fund.
Oh, there was a mistake when the transfer was made, okay.
Exactly. And then to Bernalillo County, we had $52,720.32. That was on May the 30th. And those are all my transfers this month.
All right, thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 30, resolution 2018-06-12, Affordable Care Act. You got it?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, this resolution is because we received a 4% increase in our insurances beginning July 1st. And based on that, I had to present this resolution to you. I'll read it. Whereas pursuant to the Employee Shared Responsibility mandate of the Affordable Care Act, San Miguel County is required to provide affordable health care benefits to its employees, and whereas coverage is considered affordable if the employee's contribution for employee only, does not exceed 9.5% of the employee's household income for the taxable year, regardless of the actual coverage tier the employee rolls in. And whereas since the employer does not know their employee's household income, the ACA provides for 3 affordability safe harbors in determining affordability, of which the county will utilize the rate of pay safe harbor. Whereas the rate of safe pay harbor requires that for a calendar month, the employee's contribution for self-only coverage for the lowest cost plan cannot exceed 9.5% of an amount equal to 130 hours multiplied by the employee's hourly rate of pay, regardless of actual hours worked. And whereas this resolution will supersede Resolution 2017-06-13F1 as a result of a 4% increase in insurances effective July 1st, and whereas based on the increase in rates, the following tiers have been established for the period of July 1st, 2018, and will remain in effect until another change in premium takes place. Employees whose salary is less than $21,544.84 will be at a 2080 tier. Employees whose salary is greater than or equal to $21,544.84, but less than $25,853.81 will be at a 2575 tier, and employees' whose salaries shall equals or exceeds $25,853.81 will be at a 3070 tier.
Any questions? Need a motion to approve the Affordable Care Act resolution. Motion by Commissioner Varela, second by Commissioner Martinez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 31, indigent burial. Ms.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, the Finance Office has received one indigent burial claim, and this claim was made to Rogers Mortuary in the amount of $1,200. I'm seeking ratification of this payment.
Question, concern?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve made by Commissioner Varela. Second. Second by Commissioner Padilla. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 32, accounts payable report for the period of March 24th, 2018 through April 20, 2018. And so on. Ms. Gonzalez.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I'm going to be sending you two packets. The first packet is an accounts payable report for the period of March 24, 2018, along with the March 2018 housing payment register. And the next one is the accounts payable payment register for the period of April 21st, 2018 through May 29, 2018, in addition to the April 2018 Bernalillo County housing package.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Padilla, second by Commissioner Valero. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Number 33, journal entry report for the month of March and April 2018.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, this information is for informational purposes only. It is a journal entry report for both the months of March 2018 and April 2018. And just to let you know, I do get these recorded in the county clerk's office. To record them.
Item number 34, cash office report for the month of February and March 2018.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, this is a cash balance report for February and March of 2018. It's for informational purposes only, and it's reports reconciled cash balances.
Received report for the month of March and April 2018.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, this one is also for informational purposes, and it's a report from our system acknowledging or reporting all receipts that were received during the period of March and April of 2018.
Any, are we going into executive session? Mr. Chairman, no, we do not.
I make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to adjourn made by Commissioner Padilla, second by Commissioner Varela. All in favor? All opposed?